Min Seolha has always been hardworking and decent, but how did she end up at Hotel A1 getting intimate with her boss? Well, Se-ola works at Venus as the secretary of Jeongmu, the owner of the company. It's a sunny afternoon when Se-ola walks into President Jeongmu's office and offers to lower his blinds since he looks uncomfortable. He tells her that there is no need for her to lower the blinds since what is bothering him is the resignation letter she submitted. Se-ola wanted to know why the letter was bothering Jeongmu when she went as far as checking the internet to ensure that her strokes were correct. It pains President Jeongmu that the resignation letter is written so perfectly, and he declares that everything she does turns out perfect. Addressing the matter at hand, he starts by trying to know why Se-ola is dropping a resignation letter on him all of a sudden. Se-ola replies that she has her personal reasons for wanting to resign, as Jeongmu has his personal reasons for trying to keep her. Sure, a big company like his has other secretaries, but Se-ola outperforms them all. It's been 3 years since Jeongmu started working hand in hand with her, and she has always been a step ahead of him at all times. For instance, when they are to meet dignitaries, she always had a gift pre-planned. Aside from that, Se-ola also carried out her duties exceptionally well, exceeding expectations and showing amazing results at all times. Last summer, when Se-ola went on vacation, Jeongmu understood how valuable she was. While she was away, he experienced top-tier work paralysis. Now, Se-ola wants to quit. To make her stay, Jeongmu reminds her that they have been working together for 3 years, and he cannot do without her. Since she doesn't say anything, Jeongmu asks if something serious happened, so she wants to resign. She assures him that's not her reason for wanting to resign. Now he knows she doesn't want to resign because of something unavoidable, so he guesses she wants a salary raise. Se-ola then reminds him that she has the best salary in the industry, dropping a boulder on him. To try and save the situation, Jeongmu offers Se-ola a promotion, but she feels people will see this as favoritism, thus dropping another boulder on Jeongmu. Finally, he offers her a car to help her get to work more easily, but she drops the last boulder on him by reminding him that although she has a license, she isn't a fan of driving. All his suggestions have failed. And when Jeongmu takes a second to observe Se-ola's face, he can see that she has no intention of changing her plans. He decides to stop guessing what Se-ola wants and decides to ask her what he will do that will satisfy her. Jeongmu offers Se-ola anything she wants, promising to grant her the request no matter what. With the way Se-ola reacts after hearing this, we can tell she has a request, but it is most likely going to be a big ask. Jeongmu encourages Se-ola to speak her mind, and she does, requesting that he get intimate with her. The vibe in the room immediately feels off, and since Se-ola can't tell how Jeongmu will respond, she feels she messed up. Jeongmu, on the other hand, believes he didn't hear her properly, and is about to confirm what he heard when Se-ola apologizes for making the request. She begs President Jeongmu to pretend he didn't hear her request. She is embarrassed and turns away from him as she declares that she is out of her mind and says something strange. To her astonishment, Jeongmu doesn't scold her. Instead, he tells her he will think about the request. He promises to give her his response by the weekend and asks her to wait for him until then. Later that day, at the workers' lunch break, Se-ola tells a colleague that she accidentally asked Jeongmu to spend the night with her. Her colleague finds it hard to believe that Se-ola had the guts to make such a request to the Jeongmu she knows. That's because Jeongmu is young and successful, and everything he touches turns into gold in their world. Se-ola's friend adds that Jeongmu constantly makes the news and is popular among women. This hottie, the one and only CEO of Venus department store where they work, could not have been the person Se-ola asked to spend the night with. When Se-ola affirms that this is the man, her friend is baffled. She scolds Se-ola for making such an absurd request without confessing her feelings to him first, and asks her what has suddenly gotten into her. Se-ola heaves a deep sigh of frustration before filling us in on what made her make such a request. She starts by telling us that her unrequited love for Jeongmu started 3 years ago when she just started working for him. It was a cold winter morning, and she was briefing Jeongmu on his schedule for the day. During the briefing, Se-ola paused, probably due to the cold. When Jeongmu noticed this, he permitted Se-ola to return home early if it was too cold. As expected, she refused, promised to make his schedule work smoothly, and apologized for making him worry. When she was done helping out, she returned to the office, where the receptionist informed her of the hot pack Jeongmu had sent for her. The receptionist had placed the hot pack on Si-ola's desk and informed her that Jeongmu had received one for each worker. She just saw it as him being nice and looking out for his employees, but Si-ola saw it as much more. Maybe it was because hers came with a note from Jeongmu acknowledging how hard she worked that her unrequited love for Jeongmu started. Sadly, shortly after discovering she had feelings for her boss, there was a rumor about him getting engaged. From hearsay information, she got to know that Jeongmu was probably getting engaged to the youngest daughter of the head of the Taekang group. Jeongmu had a meeting with that group on the day Si-ola's love for him began, so maybe the engagement was what they wanted to discuss. Sure, the gossip didn't know this. They just believed it was a thing of the rich sticking to the rich and living in a world different from the ones the common folk lived in. It was rumors, no doubt. But hearing all that reminded Si-ola that Jeongmu was always going to be out of her league. She already knew that from the start and decided not to see her not being with him as only natural. Because of the rumors that day, Si-ola tried to envision the woman Jeongmu would marry. She was so lost in thought that she overfilled her coffee cup. Si-ola, who felt she knew how to separate work from personal matters, made the mistake of ever falling in love with her boss to the point that she got distracted, and Jeongmu could see that. For 3 years, she lived with the feeling of love for her boss and tried to cope with it. That was why she submitted the resignation letter, which she now regrets. She sees herself as trash now, but her friend urges her not to be so negative. Si-ola's friend suspects that their boss might have feelings for Si-ola because of how he talks to her. On the contrary, Si-ola believes he treats her that way because they have a good secretary and CEO relationship. Nevertheless, she doesn't know how she will face Jeongmu now. Si-ola's friend helps her calm down by assuring her that Jeongmu has feelings for her. She then puts down her drink and, in a more serious tone, urges Si-ola to listen to her for now, no matter what she says. She then asks Si-ola if she is seriously interested in meeting her boss. As they discuss, unaware that Jeongmu is closing up on them, Si-ola's friend asks her if she doesn't always want to date a tall and handsome man. Those are two qualities, along with his unique personality, that make him even better. According to Si-ola's friend, she has never seen a man like Jeongmu before, but she is certain he is interested in Si-ola, which is why she urges her to go meet him at least once. Si-ola is in the process of asking for her friend to explain what she is trying to say when Jeongmu appears behind her and calls her. When she answers, he asks her why she did not respond to his message. It's then she checks her phone. She spots 2 messages, one from her boss and the other from her friend from earlier, whose name is Eun-sim. She is more interested in the message from her friend Eun-sim about her boss looking jealous, and she scoffs at the message. She believes it's just work he wants to discuss, and it looks like it is when he starts talking about a meeting they need to attend. Concerning the meeting, she informs him that she made an appointment for 5 o'clock, and her phone starts ringing. Jeongmu wants to know if the call is urgent, permitting her to take it if it is so urgent. Si-ola replies that the call isn't so urgent, causing Jeongmu to get curious and ask who the caller is. Normally, Jeongmu never asks Si-ola about personal stuff, so she wonders why he is asking this now. She reminds herself not to get carried away because Jeongmu might just be asking. In the end, she does not respond, remaining silent until the elevator doors slide open. When they open, Si-ola attempts to get off, but Jeongmu stops her. The mood in the elevator starts getting warm because of this sudden move, and Jeongmu makes it even warmer by offering to answer Si-ola's question now. He agrees that they should get intimate, but with the condition that there is no limit to the number of times they'll get intimate. His counteroffer surprises Si-ola, and her reaction makes Jeongmu feel she doesn't like it. However, he then reminds her that she was the one who was acting boldly a few hours ago. Finally, she mumbles out that she agrees with the term. It's a response, but it's not enough for Jeongmu, so he makes her say it loudly, helping her gain the courage to audibly agree that they spend time together. Her agreement is what leads to the heated moment that takes place in Hotel A1 later on. When they are done, Jeongmu escorts Si-ola downstairs, gets a cab for her, and readies himself to say goodnight. Before he does, however, Si-ola talks about the important meeting he has later in the night and asks him if he is sure she can skip it. Jeongmu assures Si-ola it's okay and apologizes for not being able to take her home himself. Again, he states that he will be fine on his own and instructs Si-ola to head home and rest. He then decides to get cheesy and tells Si-ola that she already has a tough day because of him, hinting at their little moment of intimacy. Si-ola gets the joke nonetheless and blushes because of it. However, Jeongmu doesn't stop there. He adds that Si-ola complained she was too tired to move, making her want to leave as quickly as possible. Si-ola requests that Jeongmu call her if there is anything she needs to do, and then her cab leaves. Jeongmu watches the cab leave and notes its plate number just in case. In the end, Si-ola gets home safely and runs herself a bath. Now that she is all alone, she questions her sanity and wonders how she will face Jeongmu tomorrow at work. Still, Si-ola can't get Jeongmu off her mind. She tries to slap the thoughts of Jeongmu out of her head so she can get back to reality, but jolts when she gets a text message. Si-ola suspects the text is from Jeongmu, but when she checks, it's not, and she scolds herself for thinking it was Jeongmu when he is in a meeting right now. Si-ola, who is now in bed looking sad, remembers that she and Jeongmu aren't even dating. Because of this, she tells herself that the best thing to do is not expect anything and not get ahead of herself. Eventually, she falls asleep, only for her phone to start ringing late into the night. Si-ola sleepily picks up her phone to see who it is, only to see it's a call from Jeongmu that wakes her up instantly. Concerned, Jeongmu asks Si-ola if he woke her up, but she claims he didn't. Immediately, her brain goes to work-related stuff, and Si-ola questions why he is calling at this hour, wondering if something went wrong with the meeting. Jeongmu assures Si-ola that she doesn't have to worry since the meeting went well. He tells her that he wanted to call earlier but couldn't because President Kim has a drinking problem. She then wonders why he doesn't sound drunk. He tells her how he rushed to call her, knowing it was late, but he kept worrying about leaving her alone. His words melt Si-ola's heart, causing it to beat loudly. He apologizes for talking too much. He assumes she must be tired and asks her to rest well, promising to see her tomorrow. His words are so kind that they manage to get to Si-ola to the point that she doubts she will be able to go back to sleep. Jeongmu, on the other hand, just stares at his phone after the call, recalling how it has been 3 years since he has been working with Si-ola. He knew there were always rumors about his relationship with Si-ola, but as people saw how well she did her job, the rumors faded. During their 3 years of working together, Jeongmu spent almost every day with Si-ola. Sure, he noticed her at that time, but he never wanted to get involved with her because of the many rumors that would have emerged. All along, he drew a clear line, but tonight, they crossed it. So what next? Well, that's a question to be answered another day. Jeongmu finally gets home and gets ready for bed, only for him to be thinking about Si-ola and how she is driving him crazy. The following day, Si-ola is at work as usual, giving Jeongmu a rundown on what he has to do today. She also came in with a sandwich for him, but as she lists out his schedule, all he can think about is how efficient she is. When she is done, he gives her a thumbs up and suggests they go down for the meeting. In the elevator on their way down, after a few minutes of loud silence, Jeongmu asks Si-ola if she slept well last night. It's a plain harmless question, but it reminds Si-ola of the intimacy she and Jeongmu shared last night. Hurriedly, she waves the thoughts away and awkwardly replies that she had so much rest she feels refreshed. Although Jeongmu notices the way Si-ola is reacting, he says nothing about it and tells her that he is glad she slept well. As if the vibe in the elevator were not weird enough, Jeongmu asks Si-ola if she heard about his engagement. She had forgotten about this and started panicking, wondering why she had become intimate with an engaged man. She then pretends to be too busy with her tablet to hear what Jeongmu is saying, but he keeps going anyway. He declares that he doesn't know who started the rumor and asks if it is because of the rumor that Si-ola made that proposal. Si-ola is surprised to hear that the engagement talks were just a rumor. It's a really awkward conversation, and she doesn't know how to get out of it when the heavens smile upon her and her phone starts vibrating. Si-ola asks Jeongmu for permission to check her phone, and she is permitted to do so. It's a notification about the Gani Angel Christmas release, but Jeongmu doesn't know this and asks if it's work-related. Si-ola tells Jeongmu the message she got is personal, so he doesn't ask any more questions. The day goes on, but when Seolha is about to close for the day, she discusses with Jeongmu her intention to take a leave tomorrow. She moodily apologizes for having to take this leave at such a time, but Jeongmu assures her it's fine. He can see she doesn't look happy and asks if something is wrong, but she asserts that she is fine and will make sure her issue does not affect work. Jeongmu says nothing more, allowing Seolha to leave for the day, even though he knows she isn't fine. We are yet to know what really spoilt Seolha's mood, as she is on a bus heading somewhere, deep in thought. She is thinking about how every year when winter approaches, she visits her father. At the prison, she gets informed by a guard that her father has refused to come out and see her today as well. Hearing this makes Seolha even sadder. Her father is currently serving time for murder, specifically a hit and run. Her father was always a kind man, so she couldn't believe that he would do such a thing until the judge spelled it out clearly on the day he sentenced her dad. The issue was not that he hit the victim, but that he ignored the victim even though he knew the victim was alive. He was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment, which is a slap on the wrist for the crime he committed. However, the problem is that every time Seolha goes to visit him, he refuses to see her. The guard tells Seolha that although her father refuses to see her, on the day she visits, he seems to feel better. He observes that it looks like Seolha's father is quietly waiting for her. Seolha thanks the guard for the information and tells him she will come again some other time. Winter weighs on Seolha's heart, but she still tries to go about her day as best she can. From the prison, she heads to the store, where she purchases a surprise pack and is lucky to win a stuffed snowman. The store owner congratulates her and applauds her for being so lucky, as so many people want the snowman. Nevertheless, Seolha was hoping to get something else when she opened the pack. Since that's the case, the store owner suggests Seolha try trading the snowman with someone else, as it is the most popular one. Seolha admits that is a nice suggestion, but the only issue is that she wants to get it herself. Her confession catches the store owner's interest, so she asks Se-ola what she wants. Se-ola wants Rudolph, and I feel her reason is tied to the crime her father committed. From the store, Se-ola heads home, thinking about how it's starting to feel like winter. Suddenly, her phone rings, and it's her friend Yoonsim. Yoonsim wants to know how Se-olha's visit to her dad went, which causes Se-olha's mind to drift back to her childhood. So, Se-olha's father committed the crime when Se-olha was still very young. Since he was her guardian and she had no one else to stay with, she was sent to the Sobang orphanage. It was there she met Yoonsim, her precious friend who understands all her circumstances. Later, Yoonsim talks about how she has prepared a lot of food and wants to know if Se-olha would like to come over. Se-olha can see that Yoonsim is worried about her, but she apologizes and turns down Se-olha's kind offer, stating that she doesn't feel like having dinner today. Yoonsim tells Se-olha that there is no need to apologize, as her not wanting to eat alone is not enough reason for Se-olha to feel sorry. Se-olha then suggests they have a light beer instead of a meal, and Yoonsim agrees. She informs Se-olha that she will be at her place shortly. Yoonsim's kindness reaches Se-olha, who thanks her. Yoonsim suddenly becomes curious about what Se-olha is doing. Se-olha explains that she is just thanking Yoonsim because she is grateful for her, and finds it reassuring to have her around. Yoonsim, on hearing this, acts tough and queries Se-olha for being mushy all of a sudden. She also instructs Se-olha to wash up because she will be at her place soon. Se-olha agrees to do as she has been asked, and Yoonsim is about hanging up when she remembers something important and stops. When Se-olha asks Yoonsim if she has something important to say, Yoonsim lets her know that Jeongmu came by earlier in the day. Elsewhere, Jeongmu is looking all gloomy, constantly checking his phone to see if Se-olha has responded to his text. He can't understand why, after suddenly taking a day off, Se-olha is not answering her phone and is worried about her. Jeongmu wonders if something happened to Se-olha, and right on cue, she gives him a call. Without even waiting for the phone to ring long, Jeongmu picks up. Se-olha then asks him if something is wrong, and while trying to stay calm, he tells her that the office was in chaos since she was absent. He wishes to know if Se-olha just pulled a stunt so he would realize that she is the most efficient secretary, adding that she didn't even answer her calls all day. Concerned, Se-olha asks if there is anything urgent at work and offers to take care of it immediately. Jeongmu replies that everything at work is fine, and he is just worried because she suddenly took a leave. In a reassuring tone, he tells her that if the matter is uncomfortable, she does not have to talk about it, before repeating that he is just worried about her. Si-ola thanks Jeongmu for worrying about her, and is about to say more when she gets various rings on her door. She suspects that it's Eun-sim, so she decides to conclude the call quickly. Jeongmu claims to understand, stating that it sounds urgent, so she should go and open the door. He also asks her to get some rest, as he will see her next week, and ends the call. Now that he knows Si-ola is okay, Jeongmu leans back on his chair thinking. He wonders if calling her at such a late hour was he doing too much before sparing the doorbell some thought. Days pass, and the following week arrives. The day Si-ola resumes work. Jeongmu is checking his watch, waiting for her arrival, when he suddenly hears some staff talking about Si-ola. He eavesdrops, mostly because they are trying to establish whether Si-ola is dating someone. The staff talk about Si-ola's unexpected leave on Friday, how she had been checking her phone a lot while she was at work, and how her complexion has looked better lately. It's all very random points, but they give Jeongmu a lot to think about. He thinks about how he saw Si-ola seriously discussing some tall, handsome guy the first day he and her slept together. He also noticed that Si-ola did check her phone often and asked the gossiping staff if they had seen Si-ola. They tell him that Si-ola just stepped out to take a call, and then he starts worrying about the doorbell he heard yesterday when he was speaking with Si-ola. With a lovesick mind, Jeongmu goes to his office, only to see Si-ola there. Immediately, she sees him. She tells him they just got a call from Taekang, which explains the call she went out to take. Si-ola quickly briefs Jeongmu on the details of the call, informing him that Taekang wants to meet with him as soon as possible, and President Kim will be coming in person. He is interested in this information, but wants to know if his schedule will allow it. Si-ola tells him that she has already scheduled a meeting for tomorrow evening. He is okay with this, and wants to know what else is on his schedule. Then, Si-ola tells him that she cannot have lunch with him today. Jeongmu immediately asks why, and Si-ola tells him she has something to do during lunch. She isn't even done talking when Jeongmu chips in, asking her why she has been avoiding him lately. He suspects that it's because she is tired of him, but far be it from that. Si-ola doesn't even know what Jeongmu is talking about. So he explains that he has noticed that since their night together, she has been using all her vacation days. Jeongmu also points out that Si-ola was not at her desk today when he checked and wants to know if the guy Eun-sim introduced her to asked her not to eat with him. Si-ola can see now that there is a misunderstanding, so she addresses it. First, she tells him she wasn't at her desk earlier because she was arranging tomorrow's meeting. Next, she addressed her request for leave last Friday, assuring Jeongmu that she really had personal matters to attend to. Si-ola also addresses Jeongmu's belief that Eun-sim introduced her to a guy and is about to tell him he was the guy they were talking about when he cut her off. She had forgotten to address the doorbell, so he brings it up, and Si-ola tells him it was Eun-sim at the door that day. Cold sweat runs down Jeongmu's face after hearing all this, as he knows he must have sounded like a creep a few seconds back. He sighs in frustration, ashamed that he misunderstood, while Si-ola feels uncomfortable, wondering if Jeongmu thought she had been avoiding him since that day. Si-ola is about saying more, when there is a knock at the door, interrupting her. The person at the door informs Jeongmu that she had been trying to reach him but couldn't, so she came to his office to inform him about an urgent meeting scheduled for the previous project. Jeongmu sighs after hearing this. But is it because this woman has saved him from a weird conversation, or because he is annoyed that he and Si-ola were disturbed? Whatever his reason, Jeongmu just tells Si-ola that they should go to the meeting. Sure, she agrees and goes with him, but deep down, Si-ola knows there is a lot that was left unsaid. From the meeting until close to the end of the day, Si-ola and Jeongmu go about their businesses without speaking to each other. Finally, when Si-ola is rounding up work for the day, she notes that they haven't spoken since that morning. Suddenly, Jeongmu walks by, spotting Si-ola working, and expresses shock that she has not clocked out yet. Si-ola says that she has a lot more work to finish up, and he walks past her, instructing her not to push herself too hard. Now that he is in his office, Si-ola sees this as her chance to talk to him and follows him into his office. Once she is in, he wastes no time and starts talking, asking Jeongmu to forget about the proposal she made to him the other day. It was what started all these conflicting emotions, but Jeongmu still didn't understand why she wanted to forget their agreement. Seolha starts by claiming that she was emotional that day, but before she can say more, Jeongmu stops her, asking her if she wants to stop because he did not impress her that day. Seolha is confused now, but Jeongmu continues, seeking to confirm whether she is trying to say that she is backing out from their agreement. He then confesses his love for Seolha and how he had been holding back his feelings for her for 3 years. Jeongmu admits that his love for Seolha made him agree to the proposal in the first place. Wow, Seolha didn't know this. She too had been holding back feelings for 3 years. She seeks clarity, but to give her that, Jeongmu continues with his confession. He tells her that he wanted to go to her yesterday, but wondered if he had the right to do so. And that's all Se-ola has to hear before she tells Jeongmu that she loves him too. After Se-ola's confession, Jeongmu warmly places his hand on her cheek, but stops and tells her she is getting ahead of herself. Hearing this makes Se-ola feel embarrassed, so she pulls away from Jeongmu, declaring that she will just get back to work. He stops her, however, instructing her not to work overtime today, and just says she has plans. Seolha, who doesn't have any plans, asks Jeongmu what plans he is talking about, and then he tells her they just made one. The scene shifts to the Doi Hotel, where Jeongmu and Seolha lodge and spend the entire night getting intimate. By morning, the hotel room is littered with Jeongmu and Seolha's clothes. She is still in bed with Jeongmu, nonetheless, too tired to get up because of how busy they were last night. When she finally opens her eyes, she sees that Jeongmu is still sleeping and observes his face. Thinking back, she never thought she'd see his face at the end of the week. Now that she is observing him even closer, Seolha concludes that Jeongmu is more handsome up close. She is about poking his face for the fun of it when he wakes up just in time and wraps her hand in a hand hug. It looks like he has been awake the whole time, and he teases Se-ola about the previous night, wanting to know if it wasn't enough for her. He attempts to talk her into round 2, but when she tries to explain herself, he just wraps her in his warm embrace and tells her that if he could see her every morning, it would be great. After that, Seolha and Jeongmu kept hanging out every weekend. It got so much that one Monday, Seolha resumed work feeling sleepy because she couldn't sleep last night. She is all teary-eyed when Eunsim calls out to her. Apparently, Eunsim had been calling out to her for some time, but she didn't notice because she wasn't paying attention. She apologizes to Eunsim for not responding, claiming she is a bit confused. This makes Eunsim curious to know what has got Se-ola so flustered. Because of her current state of mind, Se-ola can't tell which part to start from. She clearly remembers that the last thing she told Eunsim was that Jeongmu accepted the proposal. Eunsim guesses that what's got Seolha flustered is good news and has something to do with Jeongmu. She is correct, as Seolha tells her that they officially agreed to be in a relationship. Eunsim is happy to hear this, and also happy she guessed right, so she asks Seolha to spill the details. As she does, a new character arrives at the Korea International Airport. He is annoyed that he has to visit Korea again, but whether this guy is a villain or not remains uncertain. What is certain, however, is that he stands out in the crowd. Everyone has eyes on him except the unlucky child, who doesn't watch where he is going and ends up bumping into the guy's luggage. The kid trips and falls, but all this guy does is take off his shades and glare at the kid in disdain before walking away like nothing happened. The chances of this guy being a villain are high, especially because he has Jeongmu in mind. Seolha and Jeongmu close work early because they have an evening meeting with T-Kang. The meeting starts at 6 o'clock, which is the time President Kim will be available to discuss it with them. Jeongmu declares that since it's urgent, there is no other way for something he doesn't state, and he asks Seolha to book him a multi-purpose room. Owing to their relationship, it's no wonder Seolha misunderstands Jeongmu's intentions, so he asks her if she is starting to have lewd thoughts. Jeongmu teases her because of these thoughts. He explains that he needs the room to rest a little before the meeting, as he was so busy last night that he couldn't sleep. He needs to rest, however, because he knows President Kim is someone who makes others tired. Suddenly, Jeongmu attempts to hold Se-ola's hand, but she doesn't let him, wondering what the staff would think if they saw them holding hands. Jeongmu teases her because of this, and tells her that if she observes closely, she will see that there is nothing there but the CCTV. That's not enough assurance for Si-ola, who has to look around to confirm whether there really isn't anyone around before holding Jeongmu's hand. She then tells him that she will just do this today, and offers to drive if Jeongmu feels tired. However, it's no surprise that he still doesn't let her drive. Later that day at the meeting with President Kim, Jeongmu and President Kim discuss. Si-ola is not okay with what they are discussing. During the meeting, she notices that President Kim is staring at her funny but doesn't know why. The meeting and the weird stare end up annoying Si-ola, but what pisses her the most is that she cannot say anything. Looks like Jeongmu spots President Kim staring at Si-ola and calls out to him, only to discover that he has not been listening all along. His excuse is that he is old, so he has been absent-minded lately and ends up offending Jeongmu with his excuse. Nevertheless, all Jeongmu does is take out his anger on the documents he has in hand and repeat what he said earlier. They then return to discussing their shared intention to bid for land and discuss it long into the night. After the meeting, they still discuss the land. President Kim offers to handle the buying and selling of the land, and Jeongmu tells him that it's okay as long as he finishes on time. Now that the meeting is over, President Kim gets shady, reaching out to Si-ola and asking that they go somewhere else. He states that she has been working hard, but before he is done laying out his proposal, Jeongmu steps in. He hands over his car keys to Si-ola and tells her that he thinks he forgot his phone in the car. He claims to have someone urgent to contact, which is why he wants her to go get the phone, and she replies that she will bring it right away. Now that they are alone, President Kim jokes about how Jeongmu really likes working with a girl who is young and beautiful. He tries to warn President Kim to steer clear by reminding him that Si-ola is his secretary, but President Kim doesn't get the hint and keeps going anyway. He states that he has observed that Si-ola tied her hair, and it made her look even prettier, so during the meeting he couldn't concentrate. All this talk is pissing Jeongmu off the more, but President Kim doesn't seem to notice. He does notice that Jeongmu is sensitive today, unlike other days, and wants to know if this sensitivity has something to do with his secretary, Si-ola. He starts talking about the relationship between Si-ola and Jeongmu, when Jeongmu stops him, calling him real trash. President Kim acts like he doesn't understand what Jeongmu is talking about when a loud banging sound echoes across the room. It was the sound of Jeongmu punching the wall. He then claims that he was saying the wall has cracks that can even be seen from a distance, so it is trash. He continues, coldly stating that if he punches the wall even lightly, it will leave a crack, which is evidence of sloppy construction. His cold tone seems to scare President Kim, who tries to act cool and asks Jeongmu what he is saying and how long he has been working with construction. Nevertheless, Jeongmu continues, stating that the building has been completed for a week now, so there's nothing strange about him pointing out these things. Jeongmu punches the wall 2 more times, adding that it sounds empty, but then President Kim stops him, claiming he knows all this. He also believes there is a misunderstanding and intends to ease the tension. Jeongmu claims there is no misunderstanding. He just wants to check the truth. He asks President Kim if Royal Philips knows about the sloppy construction, which is not Tikang's standard. The scene shifts to the ground floor, with Si-ola returning after failing to see the phone Jeongmu sent her to find. She doesn't know what to do, as she has looked everywhere for it, but has failed to find it. Suddenly, her phone vibrates. When she checks it, she sees that it's a message from Jeongmu apologizing for staring at her inappropriately at the meeting. She doesn't understand the text when Jeongmu walks over to her and suggests that they go since he has found his phone. Although that's settled, she wants to know if they are going to the other place President Kim talked about, and Jeongmu tells her that the arrangement has been cancelled. On the top floor, President Kim sits in his office, boiling in rage. His apology to Si-ola was influenced by Jeongmu. Jeongmu had told him to use the contact he got from Si-ola's business cards and send her an apology, before deleting her contact. He is still thinking about this when someone knocks on his office door and walks in with his head bowed. President Kim, who can no longer contain his emotions, tosses the document on the table and asks him where he is. Director Han, suffering from the backlash of President Kim's talk with Jeongmu, tells President Kim that he is away because a certain young master Taegan requested that he pick him up from the airport. This young master, Taegun, is the blonde villain who just arrived in Korea. Taegun notices that President Kim looks angry and picks up one of the documents on the floor, asking if he can help the president. President Kim is still angry, but tries to hold back his rage and asks Taegun if he knows how hard it was for him to block a certain article so his father doesn't see it. Taegun ignores this, addressing President Kim as uncle when he tells him that if he inherits Taekang, he will give him a good position in the company. Taegun smiles mischievously while viewing the Venus land bid and Taekang construction, declaring that it seems like he and his uncle's goals are still the same. Looks like he has bad intentions for Jeongmu, who is leaving Taekang's premises, unaware of Taegun's arrival. It is unclear where Si-ola and Jeongmu are headed, but the mood in the car as they go is very clear. Si-ola is unhappy because Jeongmu has refused to tell her what happened in the meeting room, so he tells her that all he did was tell President Kim to handle the job quickly. She then asks him if he is the reason President Kim sent her an apology text, but he denies it, suggesting that President Kim might just have apologized because he felt uneasy. He adds that President Kim might have seen how important it was that he apologized to Si-ola. She decides to let this slide, but is about to give him a heads up on what to do next time something like this happens. Then, she notices the bruises on Jeongmu's knuckles. Seeing that makes Si-ola feel like Jeongmu hit President Kim, but all he does is stare at his knuckles, looking unhappy that he was unable to hide them. When they arrive at Jeongmu's home, Si-ola carefully takes care of his knuckles. While dressing the bruises, she tells Jeongmu that the best thing to do is ignore President Kim, because he knows how he is. Concerned, she asks Jeongmu if he had a real fight with President Kim, but he stands by his earlier excuse that he swiped his hand against a wall in the hallway. Si-ola finally believes Jeongmu, accepting his excuse because, according to her, he isn't the type of person to cause fights. Her words pierce Jeongmu's heart, but he says nothing. She heaves a sigh of relief, glad that Jeongmu isn't in the police station or hospital right now. Although Si-ola is already tending to the bruises as gently as possible, Jeongmu asks her to be even more gentle. She replies, telling him that he needs to say it hurts, so he teases her about liking things like being hurt. Although she is blushing, Si-ola scolds Jeongmu for making a joke like that at a time like this. Si-ola complains that leaving scars is not okay. Jeongmu decides to shift the topic from himself and reminds Si-ola that he had asked her if she was okay. She claims to be okay, even though once or twice she wanted to hit Jeongmu. With her well-being confirmed, Jeongmu looks sad as he declares he should have paid attention from the moment rumors about President Kim began to spread. He apologizes to Si-ola for not paying attention, but she tells him he doesn't need to apologize. Still, Jeongmu feels worried. Just to be safe, he instructs Si-ola to let him know if something happens with President Kim in the future that makes her feel uncomfortable. Si-ola informs him that she will take President Kim's word since he promised nothing would happen, but he asks her what she thinks about him. Si-ola ignores the question, however, and intends to go home when Jeongmu asks her if she is really going to leave him like this. Si-ola just reminds Jeongmu that they have to go to work tomorrow. He ignores that, reminding her that they agreed there was no limit to the number of times they could get intimate, which causes her to remember when she agreed to that. Aside from that, Jeongmu feels Si-ola might be tired after work tomorrow. In the end, he decides to ignore his urges and take Si-ola home, but before he knows it, she is seated on his lap. Jeongmu asks Si-ola why she is fond of seducing him, but she feels she should be the one asking him that. The following day, Si-ola is working at exceptional speed while her colleagues ponder why she is so fast. What they don't know is that Si-ola is trying her best to stay awake and concentrate. She also tried to will herself into thinking about other things, especially stuff like what happened yesterday. While she works, Jeongmu watches from a distance, but says nothing later on. He is in the elevator with Si-ola as she dozes. He may not have noticed that, but he complains that Si-ola didn't give him a chance to hold her hand today. Startled back to consciousness, Si-ola whispers that they are at work right now. She also points out that they have been dating for a week, so it might be too early to hold hands publicly. Jeongmu argues that Romeo and Juliet only knew each other for 5 days, and that was enough for them. Si-ola responds that Romeo and Juliet's love was that way because it was love at first sight, unlike theirs. Jeongmu doesn't agree with this belief, He feels he and Romeo are the same. He tells Se-ola that if she has any doubts about him, she should know that his eyes have changed since she came to him. Se-ola confesses that back in the day when Jeongmu called her ugly up to 4 times, she was deeply hurt by those words. He admits that he was probably jealous of her when he said those things, and it's not easy to hide one's feelings for another. He sincerely apologizes for that time and begs Se-ola to forgive him, promising to think more deeply about her and treat her better. He asks her to pity him, stating that he applied much restraint during the 3 years. Hearing this motivates Se-ola to hold Jeongmu's hand, confessing that she didn't know he applied that much restraint. Now she knows, so Jeongmu makes Se-ola a proposal. He proposes that if she promises not to leave him, he will try to control himself in the office from now on. Se-ola agrees, but also has a proposal of her own, proposing that as she will never, he should never think of running away from her. They make these declarations with their hands locked together. Jeongmu then jokes about how if he ever runs away, Se-ola will beat him up, and she agrees with him that she will do so. When Se-ola and Jeongmu finally get to their stop, they come down from the elevator, and Se-ola fills him in on his tomorrow's schedule. After talking for some time, she notices that Jeongmu isn't listening and calls out to him. Surprisingly, he doesn't hear her. Instead, he is focused on someone else, seeking to know what happened. That person is his mother, and things just got even more interesting. Jeongmu and his mother settle into his office, sipping tea that Se-ola just served. His mother takes a happy sip and compliments the tea, but Jeongmu doesn't waste time and asks why she's here. She puts her cup down with a sigh, asking if he can at least smile since they haven't seen each other in 3 years. Jeongmu corrects her. It's been 2 years. She reminds him that she moved to the US 3 years ago, but he points out they saw each other at his friend's wedding 2 years ago. After a pause, she finally remembers and laughs at herself for forgetting. Jeongmu, unimpressed, comments that it clearly wasn't important to her. She brushes it off, blaming old age, and shifts the conversation, asking if the chairman is doing well. He simply says yes, but that doesn't stop her from reminiscing about how the chairman always got sick in the winter. Before she can get carried away, Jeongmu cuts in, assuring her that the chairman is healthier than he is, and there's nothing to worry about. Then, back to the point. Why did she suddenly come to Korea? She hesitates before saying that it's in a few days and he knows why. Jeongmu's expression hardens. She never cared about it before, so why now? Her hands grip the fabric of her dress as she says she saw her, the person they're both thinking about, in a dream. She was crying miserably, like there was something left unsaid. Jeongmu stays silent, but his mother doesn't look away. Instead, her voice softens as she asks if he still resents her. She says knows how much that woman meant to him, but she's hurting too. Meanwhile, Se-ola sits at her desk, trying to focus on work, but her mind keeps drifting. She's never seen Jeongmu like that before. When she brought them tea, his mother thanked her warmly, but Jeongmu, stiff as a board, just told her to get back to work. She smiled anyway and left, but something about the atmosphere in his office felt off. A little while later, her phone rings. It's Jeongmu. After the call ends, she mutters to herself, wondering if he's getting another migraine. It hasn't even been that long since he last took his medicine. She brings him tea that's supposed to help with migraines, but he still asks for the medicine. Gently, she reminds him that it hasn't been long since his last dose, then turns to his mother, apologizing for interrupting. His mother doesn't seem to mind at all. Se-ola hands him the medicine, suggesting he wait a bit before taking more, and he nods in agreement. With that, she leaves. Outside the office, she sighs. She thought the mood inside would have improved by now, but it still feels heavy. Meeting Jeongmu's mother is awkward, especially since he never talks about her. Back inside, Jeongmu stares at the migraine medicine in his hand. His mother watches him and casually notes that it seems like he gets migraines often. He shrugs it off, saying it's just work stress. Then she says that he looked so much more relaxed he looked when Se-ola walked in. She asks, who would have thought someone could actually melt that icy heart of his? Jeongmu doesn't respond. She smiles to herself and says she likes Se-ola. She seems like a good person. Jeongmu puts the medicine down and finally speaks, saying Si-ola is a good person. In fact, she is too good for him. Later that night, Si-ola sits at home, lost in thought. She can't stop worrying about Jeongmu. Yoon-shim, who's hanging out with her, nudges her and asks who she's thinking about so hard when they're supposed to be spending time together. Si-ola asks if Yoon-shim doesn't have someone who makes her heart race just by looking at them. Yoon-shim scoffs, saying she forgot what that feels like a long time ago. Then, with a grin, she pulls Si-ola into a hug, teasing that she's just happy Si-ola finally worked things out with her crush. Before Si-ola can respond, the TV chimes in with an emergency report. The news warns that the roads are dangerously slippery due to the snowstorm, and drivers should be extra careful. Yoon-shim groans, complaining about how much she hates layering up in the cold. Si-ola absent-mindedly hums in response, barely listening. Her mind is elsewhere. It's that time of year again. Meanwhile, at home, Jeongmu sits in silence, replaying his mother's words in his head. She had asked if they could go there together this year. And then he recalls what she said about that dream, the one where the person was crying. 10 years ago, on a snowy day just like this, there was a hit-and-run caused by a drunk driver. The driver was caught and sent to jail, but that didn't change what happened. That's why Jeongmu always insists on driving himself, no matter how busy he is. His gaze drifts to a framed photo of him and her. He stares at it, asking her why she was crying, and if she is sad because he is the only one that visits her every year. He picks up his phone and calls someone. When the person picks, he asks them if they can talk. Jeongmu's father immediately asks him what the call is about. Instead of answering right away, Jeongmu asks if he's busy that weekend. His father says he's playing golf with Taekang's chairman. It may be golf, but it's really business. Then he invites Jeongmu to help him during the meeting. Jeongmu says he's sure he'll do fine on his own, but when his father insists, Jeongmu tells him he already has plans. His father tells him to change them, and Jeongmu refuses, saying it's important. His father lets it go and asks why he called. Jeongmu says he thought he would just start doing this from then on. His father tells him not to bother and hangs up. Jeongmu sighs and looks at the picture of him and the girl, thinking his father has completely forgotten her. The next day at work, the employees talk about the company's anniversary the next day and the day off they're getting. One of them asks Si-ola what she's going to do, and she says, just sleep. They say that's a good idea and give her a vitamin drink. As the day nears closing time, Si-ola stands beside Jeongmu, who's working, thinking that he looks down, and she wonders if she should ask what's wrong. Before she can, he tells her she looks tired and asks if she's okay. He tells her she should go home first since he still has a lot of work left. As Si-ola goes home with Yoon-shim, who's excited about her day off, she thinks about how she never got to ask Jeongmu anything. Then, she suddenly stops and tells Yoon-shim she needs to go see him. Meanwhile, Jeongmu falls asleep on the couch in his office and dreams of that night 10 years ago. That night, he was talking to the girl on the phone about something she bought. Something she'd been looking forward to all year. He apologized for not going with her because of a last-minute meeting. Just as she was about to reply, he heard her get hit by a car. He asked if she was okay, saying hello over and over again, but got no reply as her phone lay on the snowy ground. Jeongmu wakes up from his dream, not noticing the coat draped over him. Si-ola asks if he is okay, and without thinking, he pulls her into a hug. When she hugs him back, he asks what she is doing there, and she tells him she wanted to wait for him. Noticing the coat, he asks about it, and she says she didn't want him to be cold. Then, she gently tells him that he can talk to her about whatever's bothering him, though she may not be much help. He tells her his mother's visit must have been on his mind, and he's just being sensitive, that's all. Then, he apologizes for making her worry. She starts to say something, but he suddenly takes her hand and says, "This isn't good." When she asks what's wrong, he places her hand on his face and with a playful pout, says he will never let her hand go for the rest of his life, which causes her face heats up. Changing the subject, he asks about her plans for the night, and she reminds him that she came back to wait for him. He nods and tells her they should go. When she asks where, he simply says there is something more important than work right now. At his apartment, Jeongmu prepares dinner for them. While he's cooking, he asks about the clothes he gave her. She comes out wearing them awkwardly, mentioning that they are big but wearable. Jeongmu turns red and quickly looks away. Si-ola sits at the dining table, glancing around his place and noting that it's cleaner than hers. Soon, he serves the delicious-looking meal, and she stares at it, saying she suddenly feels nervous. He asks what there is to be nervous about, and tells her to eat. The moment she takes a bite, she relaxes. It's good. After dinner, they watch a horror movie together. While Si-ola watches excitedly, Jeongmu covers his eyes like a scared kid. She reaches out to tap him, but accidentally drops her hand way too close to his swimsuit area. Realizing where she touched, she immediately pulls her hand back, blushing furiously. Jeongmu smirks and says if she wanted to touch him, she should have just said so. Flustered, she tries to explain that it was a mistake, but he grabs her hand and places it right back where she touched, grinning as he asks if she's really not going to touch him at all. Jeongmu tells her that he can't force her if she doesn't want to. Without missing a beat, she quickly replies that she never said that. Smirking, he picks up the remote and asks if it's okay to stop the movie. She nods shyly, then leans in and kisses him on the cheek. He strokes her chin before kissing her properly. One kiss turns into another, and soon the night stretches long and intense. The next morning, Jeongmu holds Si-ola from behind, refusing to let go no matter what she does. She sighs and asks how long they are going to stay like this. He casually replies that since she said her back hurts, he's just offering support. Then, with a teasing grin, he reminds her that she was the one who wanted to be in charge last night. Flustered, she quickly covers his mouth, mumbling that that is not what happened. He just laughs, teasing her about touching him again, which only makes her blush harder. Then, changing the subject, he asks if she wants to take a bath. She asks him if it will be by herself. He grins, saying he'd love to join her, but he's not confident that he won't do anything to her in the bath. Si-ola groans and tells him not to bother, because she can't take any more. Amused, he promises just to hold her and nothing else. Then he tells her to wait while he fills the bathtub. She watches him go and asks if he's really going to do it himself. He turns back and tells her she shouldn't lift even a finger in his house because she already takes care of him enough at work. As they soak in the bathtub, Jeongmu thanks her, his voice softer than usual. He tells her he was stuck in an endless loop of struggles and hardship. But then, like a gift, she came into his life. Touched, she thanks him back and says she feels the same. He pulls her closer, but just as he's about to break his promise, her stomach growls loudly. Silence. Then, Jeongmu bursts out laughing while Si-ola turns completely red. She glares at him and says it's his fault for completely draining her. Still laughing, he tells her not to look at him with those cute eyes. It makes him want to kiss her. And of course he does. And just like that, his promise is broken. After their bath, Si-ola dries off when she gets a call from Director Park. As she answers, she rummages through her bag for something the director needs. A few things spill out, including the small snowman figurine. As she finalizes the call, Jeongmu picks up the snowman. His expression shifts instantly, his face clouding over with a deep sadness. Jeongmu repackages the snowman and casually says he didn't know she liked figurines. Si-ola takes it from him, eyeing him curiously as she asks if he knows about them. He shrugs, saying he's seen them around and then asks if she collects them every season. She tells him that she only collects them during the winter. Curious, he asks if there is a particular figurine she wants, and she says Rudolph because it's the cutest in her opinion. Jeongmu doesn't say anything to that. Instead, he smoothly changes the topic, asking her what she wants to eat. The next day, while working in his office, Jeongmu finds his mind drifting to Si-ola's snowman figurine. He never expected her to have that figurine. Right then, his phone rings. It's his mother. She tells him she was thinking of him and asks if there's anything he wants to eat. He tells her he can feed himself. Then, he asks if she still only goes grocery shopping when there's a sale, reminding her that he gave her his credit card. She laughs lightly, saying it's a waste to spend too much on food and she just can't kick the old habit. Then he promises to visit her at her hotel that weekend and is about to end the call when she stops him. She says she will make him some stir-fried anchovies when he comes, since it's his favorite. He starts to tell her that they are not his favorite, but Hyun-young's. But he stops himself and tells her that she doesn't need to make anything. She should just relax during her stay in Korea. Meanwhile, Cho Tae-gun arrives at Venus to shop, immediately drawing attention. Everyone can't help but stare at him. He walks into a store and spots Si-ola standing by a display, trying to pick out a tie for Jeongmu. She's clearly deep in thought, her gaze flicking between the options. Then, as she imagines Jeongmu wearing one, her face turns pink. She looks at the tie that caught her attention, wondering if it would make the perfect birthday gift. On Jeongmu's last birthday, he had told her to return the gifts the employees sent and to send out a notice telling them not to send him gifts again. She had agreed, but back then she had also bought him a gift and never gave it to him. But now things are different. She's not just his employee anymore. She's his girlfriend. Tae-gun comes from behind her, asking if she's shopping for her boyfriend just as she gets a call from Yoon-shim. Without a second thought, she picks up the call and walks out of the store, not even sparing Tae-gun a glance. Later, while having coffee with Yoon-shim, Seolha asks about work. Yoon-shim sighs, complaining as usual, but then suddenly brightens up and says a total hottie came into the store today. She leans in excitedly and reveals that it was Cho Tae-gun, the eldest son of the Taekang group. Seolha just blinks, completely clueless. Yoon-shim gushes about how ridiculously handsome he is, even saying he's just as hot as Jeongmu. Seolha says she doubts that, and that Jeongmu is the hottest man in the world. A deep voice asks her if she really thinks so. She starts to answer, but her breath catches when she realizes Jeongmu is standing right there. Still looking at Seolha, he says he can never get in touch with her when she's with Yoon-shim. Seolha digs through her bag, mumbling that she didn't hear her phone ring. When she finally looks up, she sees the seat across from her is empty. Yoon-shim is already gone. Jeongmu says he will have to thank Yoon-shim for giving them time to go for a walk. As they stroll, Si-ola asks what will happen if people start rumors about them. Jeongmu just shrugs and says it would be great since they wouldn't have to hide their relationship anymore. He then asks if he can hold her hand, and she refuses. Pushing further, he asks if he can at least get a kiss. Again, she says no. Dropping the subject, he tells her not to schedule anything for him that weekend because he has a personal matter to attend to. Curious, she asks what it is, and he tells her he is meeting his mother. It's been a while since they have seen each other, so things feel a bit awkward between them. Everything suddenly makes sense. This must be why he looked so uncomfortable when his mother came to the office. As they walk and talk, a security guard discreetly takes a photo of them and sends it to Tae-gun. The moment Tae-gun sees the picture, he instantly recognizes Seolha. And just like that, he realizes she is Jeongmu's girlfriend. The next day at work, Jeongmu is busy writing when his pen suddenly runs out of ink. He leans back in his chair, glancing at his calendar, realizing the weekend is almost here. Outside his office, Si-ola is focused on her own work when she gets a call from him, asking for pen ink. He tells her to just let him know where it is and he will find it himself, but she refuses, saying she will bring it to him. She walks into his office, mentioning that she bought a bunch of refills since she noticed he only ever uses that one fountain pen. Taking it from her, he says he will do it himself, then thanks her for coming despite being busy. Looking at her, he casually adds that it's always nice to see her. She turns away, blushing, and reminds him that she told him not to look at her like that during work hours. He grabs her playfully, joking about leaving work early together. Flustered, she pulls away, saying she has something urgent to do, then quickly rushes out of his office. Later, while working, she overhears some employees talking about Jeongmu and his fiancée supposedly meeting each other's parents for dinner that weekend. She remembers how Jeongmu told her that him having a fiancé was just a ridiculous rumor, but still wishes she had gotten a clear yes or no answer from him. Either way, she figures he will be spending his weekend doing something similar to what she will be doing. The following morning, she has breakfast with Yoon-shim, who complains that Seolha always goes somewhere alone. She even woke up early to go with her, only to find out that Seolha had already made the trip. Seolha tells her she didn't want to trouble her, and thanks her for worrying about her. Years ago, when Yoonshim's father was in court, the prosecutor presented the item the victim had been holding when he ran her over, a shattered Rudolph figurine. All her father said was that he was sorry, but he didn't remember. Since that day, Si-ola always brought a figurine to the cemetery. She made sure to visit the day before the anniversary of the victim's death to avoid running into her family. Even though she knew it wouldn't change anything, she couldn't shake the image of the broken figurine from her mind. That's why, every year she left the figurines on Cha Yeon-young's grave. It just didn't feel right to move on. Yoonshim then asks Si-ola about the dinner with Jeongmu that she had heard rumors about. Si-ola admits she hasn't asked him about it yet, and Yoonshim says that from the way Jeongmu looks at her, she doubts he would ever meet another woman. Besides, Si-ola met his parents first. Si-ola dismisses it, saying that doesn't really count. Yoonshim, getting serious, tells Si-ola that Jeongmu better not hurt her, no matter how much of a CEO he is. She quickly changes the subject, telling Si-ola that the Amor Hotel is holding a year-end event the next day for their 50th anniversary, and they should check it out. It's open to the public. The next day, at the Amor event, Jeongmu walks in, thinking he should start a hotel business. He's lost in thought when someone calls his name. An elegant woman approaches, and he greets her with a smile, saying it's been a while. She tells him she missed him and asks how he's been. Si-ola, meanwhile, spots Jeongmu with the woman clinging to him. She immediately recognizes her from a photo she saw in an article. It's Cho Kang-hee, the youngest daughter of the Taekang group, rumored to be Jeongmu's fiancé. Si-ola's mind races, thinking that Jeongmu had told her he was meeting his mother. Could it be that his plan was to introduce her to his fiancé? She tells Yoonshim she needs to use the restroom, and as she walks away, she tells herself she's there to enjoy herself, so she will deal with this later. While Si-ola is in the restroom, Yoonshim waits outside, rummaging through her bag. Meanwhile, Taegun, who is looking for his sister, walks toward the restroom. An item falls out of Yoonshim's bag and rolls in Taegun's direction. He frowns and kicks it away. Yoonshim, surprised, stops him and asks why he would kick someone else's stuff. She adds that the least he could do is pick it up. Taegun tells her that she shouldn't have dropped it in the first place. They exchange a stare, and after a brief moment, he says if she's really upset, he will apologize. He then hands her his business card, telling her to call him if she wants compensation. Feeling offended, Yoonshim asks Taegun what he means, but he just smirks in response. She tells him to forget it and walks away, insisting she doesn't need any compensation. But before she can leave, Taegun slips his business card between her fingers and walks off, telling her to call him if she needs it. Yoonshim looks at the card, sees his name, and realizes that she didn't recognize him earlier because his creepy attitude overshadowed his looks. She also thinks the rumors about him must be true. While Taegun is seen as a promising young businessman and a prospective heir to Taekang, he's also a troublemaker that the company struggles to keep in check. Yoonshim shoves the card in her bag just as Si-ola catches up with her, asking where she's going. Yoonshim replies, saying she was trying to avoid a piece of trash. When Si-ola asks for more details, Yoonshim just tells her to forget it. Si-ola pushes the whole thing with Taegun and Kang-hee out of her mind, determined to enjoy the day with Yoonshim. Meanwhile, Kang-hee casually brushes her hand over Jeongmu's chest, claiming to remove some lint. Jeongmu tells her to leave it, warning her that people might get the wrong idea. It's too late, though, as whispers start spreading about them. Kang-hee asks what's wrong with a little misunderstanding and says she doesn't mind it. Jeongmu, however, says he minds, and she teases him, asking if it's because he has a girlfriend. She points out that he never dated anyone when they were in school. Jeongmu avoids the question by glancing at his watch and saying he's supposed to meet someone soon. Kang-hee suggests they have dinner sometime, but he firmly tells her that he has a girlfriend and they can catch up at another event. As he walks away, his thoughts drift to Hyun-young, wondering if she would have turned out like Kang-hee after 10 years. Later, when Jeongmu arrives at his mother's hotel room, she excitedly shows him the gifts she bought for him. Everything from nuts for his migraines to supplements and even a sweater. She also surprises him by revealing she bought a gift for Si-ola. She asks if he isn't dating Si-ola. and then mentions how great the tea Si-ola served her was. Jeongmu promises he'll bring Si-ola to visit her next time, which seems to touch his mother. After that, they go to visit Hyun-young's grave. His mother lays down the gift she bought for Hyun-young, saying it's her first time visiting the grave, so she ended up buying a lot of things. She admits that they didn't cost much, but she regrets not having bought them for Hyun-young when she was alive. Overcome with emotion, she apologizes to Jeongmu for making him carry all the burden alone. She also says that she never should have left, but she couldn't accept the fact that Hyun-young was gone. Jeongmu comforts her, blaming himself for what happened and wishing he had gone with Hyun-young that day. His mother reassures him, telling him it's not his fault and that he shouldn't blame himself. Later at home, Jeongmu drops a bag with the snowman figurine on the counter. He recalls that when he and his mother visited Hyun-young's grave, they found the figurine there. His mother had asked if he had placed it, to which he replied that it was probably left by one of Hyun-young's friends. Jeongmu had always assumed that someone close to Hyun-young left the figurines every year on her death anniversary. This year, the figurine is a snowman, and Jeongmu thinks it's just a coincidence that Si-ola has one too. He receives a text from his mother thanking him for driving her to the cemetery. He replies, suggesting they meet soon for tea. Days later, at work, Jeongmu moves around the company, talking to various department heads while Se-ola follows him around. After he finishes, Se-ola, feeling exhausted, begins to walk away, thinking she needs to talk to Jeongmu today. Jeongmu stops her and asks if she will be free that night. Se-ola immediately assumes he's about to break up with her and invite her to his wedding, and she nervously stammers that she's free. Just then, a man approaches Jeongmu, telling him that Taegun is there. In Jeongmu's office, Se-ola serves tea to him and Taegun, then leaves them to talk. As Taegun casually mentions the possibility of becoming brother-in-laws due to his connection with Kang-hee, Jeongmu freezes mid-sip, surprised by the comment. Taegun, noticing his reaction, asks if something's wrong and continues to praise Kang-hee, saying she is a good person. Jeongmu, curious, mentions that he didn't realize Taegun and Kang-hee were so close. Taegun explains that Kang-hee was upset when Jeongmu cut their meeting short at the hotel, and then asks Jeongmu to consider dating Kang-hee. Jeongmu thinks that he is sure Taegun is there to build connections with Venus because it is better to have a connection with Venus than as a competition. He suggests that maybe Venus's chairman would approve of the match and asks Jeongmu if the reason he can't date Kang-hee is because of his secretary. Minutes later, Taegun makes his way out of Venus with a smirk on his face, thinking that Jeongmu is predictable. When he asked Jeongmu about his secretary, he wanted to see him get flustered. Jeongmu calmly said to Taegun that he seemed interested in Si-ola, but sadly, she already has a boyfriend. Taegun thinks that if he can't build a connection by family, he will be left with no other choice. As he looks at the text he got from the security man, who took the picture of Se-ola and Jeongmu, Kim Sung-chan, which says that Venus chairman doesn't seem to know yet. The thought of scandalous news about Venus CEO Cha Jeongmu cheating on his fiancée with his secretary makes Taegun smile. Just then, he sees Si-ola with Yoon-shim, who he recognizes, and says that this is interesting. Yoon-shim asks Si-ola if she's leaving work with Jeongmu. Si-ola responds that they'll be having dinner together. Yoon-shim, sensing Si-ola's hesitations, grabs her hand and encourages her to be honest with Jeongmu. She reminds Si-ola that her honesty is her best quality, and she should tell Jeongmu whatever is on her mind. However, during their dinner, Si-ola feels too nervous to bring up her concerns and even chokes on her food a little. Afterward, as Jeongmu walks her home, he suddenly apologizes, causing Si-ola's heart to race with worry. But Jeongmu quickly clarifies that he is sorry because he's concerned she's been affected by the rumors about his engagement. He goes on to explain how he spent the weekend visiting his late sister's grave with his mother, and how he's always done it alone. But this year, his mother joined him. Touched, Si-ola hugs him, apologizing with tears in her eyes. She admits that she should have asked him sooner, but was too afraid that the rumors might be true. She apologizes for bringing up something so difficult for him, and he reassures her that he will be more careful in the future to avoid misunderstandings. That night, they talk about many things: his childhood, his relationship with his mother, and his school days, allowing Si-ola to get to know him better, deepening their bond. The next day, at work, 2 employees suggest having dinner with Si-ola. But upon seeing her swollen eyes, they assume she's either sick or dealing with a bad breakup. So they decide to leave her be. Later, Si-ola meets with Jeongmu in his office. After she finishes her work update, he stares at her and gently touches her eyes, noticing the swelling. She tells him she iced them before bed, and he reminds her that he told her not to cry. She tries to shift the conversation back to work, but Jeongmu stops her, saying that right now, what he needs is her. He pulls her closer, saying that it is lunch soon and they can close the door. His voice suggestive, which causes her to blush. He accuses her of having dirty thoughts while holding her. Just then, a knock interrupts them, and an employee pokes his head in to mention a report that needs Jeongmu's attention. Jeongmu tells him he'll look at it later since he's busy at the moment. After the employee leaves, Si-ola, who is hiding behind Jeongmu, relieved to have escaped the awkward situation just in time. Jeongmu, a little disappointed, comments on how much he hates hiding their relationship and asks her to be patient with it. He then asks what she's doing that weekend, revealing that he's finished all his work ahead of time so he can spend time with her. He gently holds her face, expressing that they still have many things to experience together. Si-ola grabs Jeongmu's tie, her eyes playful as she tells him that if he keeps seducing her like this, she's going to... Without warning, she pushes him onto his desk. He barely has time to react before she leans in, teasing that she isn't going to kiss him. Before he can respond, she's already at the door, leaving him flustered and blushing. He sighs, muttering that she got him all worked up and just leaves. As Si-ola leaves the office, she notices a group of people nearby. Among them, a red-haired man catches her attention. He looks oddly familiar. Their eyes meet for a brief second and she quickly flinches, looking away as if nothing happened. She picks up her pace, not realizing that the red-haired man is still watching her as she walks away. Meanwhile, at Taekang Group, Taegun, who is in his office, is being disturbed by his sister, who asks him who Jeongmu's girlfriend is. Taegun casually replies that Jeongmu's girlfriend is prettier than her. She scoffs, unimpressed. He says that about every girl. He tells her that if she's so curious, she should just come to the next business meeting with him, but she refuses, saying she'll find out on her own. As she gathers her things to leave, and tells Taegun that things won't end well for him if he messes up with Venus, and he shouldn't forget his own messy track record. She pauses at the door, adding that he should get off drugs too. After she's gone, Taegun leans back in his chair, repeating her words under his breath. Things won't end well for him? Well, that's still better than sitting around doing nothing. That night, Si-ola lies in bed, her heart beating too fast for her to sleep. The anticipation of her weekend trip with Jeongmu keeps her wide awake. Just as she turns onto her side, her phone buzzes. Seeing Jeongmu's name on the screen, she immediately picks up. She asks why he's calling, and he answers saying he just missed her. Her face heats up, her heart pounding even faster now. He sighs, saying he wishes tomorrow would come faster. Then, almost hesitantly, he adds that he wishes he were at her place right now. Si-ola bites her lip before asking if she should come over instead. There's a brief pause before he responds, his voice lower this time. He'll come to her. Because between the two of them, he misses her more. The next day, they arrive at a hotel by the beach. They spend the day indulging in good food. Afterward, they take a slow walk along the shore. Jeongmu looks at Si-ola, his expression unusually serious. Then, in a soft voice, he tells her that he really likes her. Way more than she thinks. Her heart flutters at his confession, and she tightens her grip on his hand, smiling as she tells him she really likes him too. Later, they find a cozy local restaurant for dinner where Si-ola eats to her heart's content. Even after a full meal, she still craves something sweet and insists on getting cake for dessert. As they're about to leave, Si-ola suddenly remembers that she left her phone inside the restaurant. She hurries back to grab it, and when she returns, she spots Jeongmu talking to a woman. Her steps slow, and she watches for a moment before the woman finally leaves. She walks up to him, calling him by his full name, and asks him if he was hitting on another woman while she was away. He asks if she's jealous, and she denies it. He explains that the woman just asked him for directions, and Si-ola lies and says she heard their conversation. Then he says, but she was pretty, which angers Se-ola. He tells her that he is talking about his girlfriend who came with a jealous look on her face. After that, they drive to a secluded spot near the beach where fireworks light up the night sky. But instead of watching them, they find themselves lost in each other. After a while, Jeongmu pulls away just enough to whisper that the car is too cramped. Suggestively, he asks if they should head back to the hotel. Flustered, Se-ola covers her face, mumbling that the hotel is too far. He chuckles, kissing the top of her head before agreeing to stay right where they are. Jeongmu tells Se-ola they should just kiss for now because he forgot his protection at the hotel. When they get back to the hotel later, though, they definitely take things further than just making out. Meanwhile, Taegun is at a hotel club, surrounded by women, but his mind is elsewhere. He remembers an incident with his father from a while ago. His dad slapped him after he made a bad investment and asked, "What's so special about Venus?" Then he pointed out that he and Jeongmu went to the same college and questioned why Taegun couldn't be as successful as Jeongmu. Taegun stayed quiet, but his father pushed further, asking if he could ever catch up to Jeongmu. Taegun looks at the picture of Jeongmu and Se-ola again, thinking that the way Jeongmu looked at Se-ola in the picture means that he is definitely serious about her. Just then, the red-haired man shows up with a briefcase, telling Taegun he brought what he asked for. Taegun complains about how long it took to bring him a couple of drugs, and the man explains that it's getting harder to sneak things past the authorities. He also casually mentions that he's spread the rumors about Jeongmu and Se-ola all over Venus. Taegun slaps him hard. He says that he asked him to do that ages ago, and asks him if he knows how much he pays him. He tells the man he'll talk to Chairman Cha about Jeongmu and Se-ola himself since they're playing golf soon. Taegun smirks, adding that maybe falling for the secretary runs in the family. He starts thinking about how he's going to mess things up for Jeongmu and Se-ola. Back to Jeongmu and Se-ola. She cracks open a can of beer and tells Jeongmu she's always wanted to just sit down and drink with him. She asks if he's any good at handling alcohol, saying she's never really seen him drink before. Even when they're out for dinner, he'll order a drink and never touch it. He tells her that it is because he doesn't want to end up doing something he will regret. And he also doesn't like getting drunk. Fast forward 10 minutes and Jeongmu is completely out of it, passed out on the table after just one can of beer. Se-ola rests her head on the table, watching him. He mumbles sleepily, asking her to call him by his name again, referring to earlier when she used his full name after seeing him with the lady. Se-ola smiles to herself, thinking she can't just keep calling him Mr. Cha or Sir forever. She quietly whispers his name a few times, feeling a warmth in her chest. Back at the club, the red-haired man storms out of Taegun's private room, fuming. He's getting tired of doing Taegun's dirty work. As he pulls out his phone to check Jeongmu's contact, he starts thinking he might have other options. As he exits the hotel, he bumps into someone, snapping at them to watch where they're going. The person apologizes and walks away, but the red-haired man watches closely, realizing it's Kim Woo-wi, the owner of the place, who's also stuck in some mess with Taegun. The next morning, Se-ola tries to wake Jeongmu by calling his name, but when he doesn't stir, she shakes her head and mutters, "Jeongmu is an idiot." Days later, Se-ola's alarm blares at 7 a.m., jolting her awake. She suddenly remembers that today is Director Choi's wedding, and in a panic, she rushes to get dressed and heads to the venue to catch up with Jeongmu. In her hurry, she doesn't notice a car coming up behind her until someone pulls her out of the way. The person, who turns out to be Kim Woo-wi, say that people shouldn't be driving so recklessly on such narrow streets. Someone could get hurt. He asks if she's okay, and she thanks him, brushing off his hand from her shoulder. However, his stare makes her feel uneasy. When he realizes her discomfort, he quickly apologizes and mentions that she looks like someone he knows. She dismisses it, saying it happens sometimes, and continues on her way while Woo-wi watches her. At the wedding venue, Se-ola walks alongside Jeongmu, feeling an unusual nervousness. She wonders if it's because they're at a wedding. They stop to talk to a woman who's the president of another company, but while they chat, Jeongmu can't stop looking at Se-ola. He excuses himself to take a call from his mother, stepping away to speak privately. On the call, his mother asks if he's busy, to which he replies that he's not. She mentions she wants to make him seaweed soup for his birthday the next day, and he promises to visit with Seolha, which excites her. She offers to bring him anything else he might need, but he tells her he's fine. Meanwhile, Seolha looks around for Jeongmu but bumps into President Kim. He asks her where Jeongmu went and why he would leave his girlfriend behind, which catches Seolha off guard. President Kim goes on to say that Jeongmu thinks he's all that just because he's a young CEO, but he's really just a lucky guy who was brought in because Chairman Cha couldn't have a child with his actual wife. Seolha's hands tense up as she struggles to stay calm. President Kim smirks and asks if she didn't know that Jeongmu is an illegitimate child. Seolha thanks President Kim politely, telling him that she appreciates his interest in Jeongmu. She then adds that she's heard about Jeongmu's childhood, how he couldn't live with Chairman Cha due to family backlash. Despite having no support, Jeongmu still managed to get into Korea's top university's law department and graduate with honors. And on top of that, every business venture he's led has been a success. President Kim dismisses it, saying that anyone can do what Jeongmu did if they're desperate enough. Seolha, unfazed, asks if he's never been in a desperate situation himself. At that moment, Jeongmu, who's been listening in on the conversation, smiles. Later that evening, Seolha and Jeongmu sit in his car, parked near her neighborhood. He tells her to get some rest as she comments on how the day went. An awkward silence follows, prompting him to ask if there's something on her mind. She quickly replies, "No," and starts digging through her bag. The clock strikes midnight and she pulls out a gift, wishing him a happy birthday. She says she's always wanted to give him a gift but never could because he never accepts things from his employees. Jeongmu starts to unwrap it, but she stops him, saying he should open it at home because she feels embarrassed. He teasingly tells her it makes him want to open it even more. She nervously insists that it's nothing big, and he thanks her, adding that anything she gives him is perfect. She insists he wait until she's completely gone before opening it, and then leaves. He offers to walk her the rest of the way, but she tells him her house is just around the corner. Before she walks off, he tells her he'll call her. Once she leaves, Jeongmu opens the gift and stares at it in surprise. It's a piece of clothing with his initials sewn into it. Just then, his phone buzzes. He checks it and his face falls when he sees a news article about him allegedly cheating on his fiancée with his secretary, accompanied by a blurry picture of them together. Meanwhile, Taegun watches the same article, a grin on his face. He mutters to himself, "I wonder what Chairman Cha will make of this." Chairman Cha handles the news about Jeongmu allegedly cheating on his fiancée. He then directly asks Jeongmu if it's true that he's been fooling around with his secretary. Jeongmu responds firmly, saying that isn't fooling around with her. He's in a serious, wholehearted relationship with her. The chairman scoffs at this, saying such feelings won't last. Jeongmu, however, stands his ground, replying that not everyone is like him. Chairman Cha reminds Jeongmu of the day he became a part of the Cha family, emphasizing how Jeongmu had begged, promising to do whatever was asked of him. Jeongmu would learn the family business, become the successor, and marry whoever Chairman Cha arranged for him, without question. Jeongmu calmly counters, saying that he did agree to do anything, but it was because he was desperate to save Hyun-young. The chairman scoffs, telling Jeongmu that it's not his fault Hyun-young got into an accident before her treatment. Jeongmu, however, firmly states that the accident could have been avoided if only Chairman Cha had sent her to the US. Jeongmu's anger builds as he continues, recalling how the chairman had refused to attend Hyun-young's funeral, just to avoid people finding out about his illegitimate children. He tells Chairman Cha that the only reason he has the Cha surname is because he is his father, so the chairman should use that as an excuse to interfere in his life. Jeongmu declares that he has no obligation to follow his demands anymore because Hyun-young is dead. He remembers the beginning of that winter, the year Hyun-young passed away, when he first learned of her leukemia. At the time, it made no sense to him. His mother had explained that Hyun-young suddenly collapsed, and they immediately sought out a physical test. In his desperation, Jeongmu turned to Venus, pleading with his father for help. He had knelt before Chairman Cha, begging him to save Hyun-young. Chairman Cha had coldly asked, "What will you do for me in return?" Jeongmu knew that this was going to come back and bite him, but he still agreed to do whatever Chairman Cha demanded. In return, Chairman Cha agreed to save his own daughter. Jeongmu suppressed the repulsion he felt seeing Chairman Cha tower over him as if he was a god. He told himself he could tolerate it as long as it meant Hyun-young would be saved. That thought kept him going. Later, on his way home, Jeongmu slams on the brakes and grips the steering wheel tightly in frustration. His mother calls, but he picks up, canceling their plans for the day. The next day, Si-ola, who is at work, talks to Jeongmu, who is feeling sick at home on the phone. She offers to bring over some medicine, and he apologizes for the news article, but she reassures him it isn't true. Jeongmu admits that, technically, they're secretly dating. He changes the subject, telling her that hearing her voice is making him feel a bit better, and she tells him to rest up and get better soon. He says he'll try to make it to work in the afternoon, but she insists he take the day off, which he's never done before. Later, still feeling sick, Jeongmu is irritated by his condition, especially since he wants to see Si-ola. Then he receives a cryptic text from an unknown number, which says that his twin sister must be crying in the afterlife, and that she is watching every single thing he is doing right now. Back at Venus, Si-ola is at work when she hears footsteps approaching. Expecting Jeongmu, she turns around only to find Chairman Cha instead, his expression stern. They head into Jeongmu's office for some privacy, where the chairman bluntly asks how long she's been working for Jeongmu. When she replies that it's been a little over 3 years, he comments that it's far too long, implying that it's no surprise Jeongmu is in such a mess. He continues by saying that Si-ola is around the same age as Jeongmu, and is with him every day, so of course feelings will start to flourish between them. Then he tells her that Jeongmu is going to get engaged soon. He is fixing a date between Jeongmu and Waehi, youngest daughter of Taekang Group. He tells Si-ola to make sure no more ridiculous rumors like the one from the previous day get out again. He adds that while Si-ola may have had her fun, it's time she knows her place. That night, in an empty building, the red-haired man smirks to himself, commenting that he didn't expect Jeongmu to arrive so soon. Jeongmu steps forward, clearly angry, and asks the man what kind of game he's playing. Earlier, as Si-ola left the office, she got a text from Jeongmu, saying he can't see her. She thought that this was bound to happen sooner or later. After all, the relationship started out of her selfishness. She thought that she knew the relationship won't last forever, so she somewhat prepared herself for this moment, but it still hurts. Way more than she expected. Back in the present, gives Jeongmu his card, which shows that he is an employee of Venus, Kim Seong-chan, and he tells Jeongmu they are essentially on the same side. Jeongmu, already getting annoyed, tells him he doesn't care who he is and to get to the point. Seong-chan asks him how much he really knows about Min Seolha, and Jeongmu, now angry, asks what he means by that. Seong-chan reveals that he used to stay in the same orphanage as Seolha, though only for a year. This is the first time Jeongmu has heard this. Seolha never talked about her family. Jeongmu tells Seong-chan he's done with this conversation and that he should never contact him again. He adds that Seolha is not someone a person like Seong-chan can talk about freely, so he better watch his mouth. As Jeongmu walks away, Seong-chan asks if he's forgotten about a man named Min Dong-woo, causing Jeongmu to freeze. Outside, the snow falls heavily, and Seong-chan continues, mentioning that it was snowing that night too. The night Seolha's father ended his sister's life. Meanwhile, Seolha sits at home, waiting for Jeongmu to contact her. She wants to message him first, but isn't sure what to say. She spots a button on the floor and wonders if it's from Jeongmu, who might have dropped it when he came over the night before their trip. It was the first time he came to her apartment, and she had been so self-conscious about it. She told him she would have cleaned if she knew he was coming, but he reassured her, saying it was already clean, and she told him that it is unusually cleaner than this. He wrapped his hand around her, saying that she won't have to clean again if she lives with him. She said she would be in charge and disagreed, saying he would do that too. They spent the night, talking and looking at her pictures. Then they moved to the bed, where he told her that that wasn't the reason he came over. She hugged him, saying it is the reason she invited him. Back in the present, Si-ola looked out of her window, thinking that she has always lived in that apartment alone, but it feels oddly empty today. The next day at Venus, Jeongmu can't shake the conversation with Seong-chan from his mind. Seong-chan had asked if he knew what a person needed to live comfortably, and when Jeongmu mentioned money, Seong-chan set his price. 100 million won, delivered in 3 weeks. Seong-chan threatened that if Jeongmu doesn't meet his demand, he will go to Si-ola. Jeongmu's mind races. Jeongmu thinks that Seong-chan knows how to negotiate, and if it is money he needs, he will pay him as much as he wants. However, Seong-chan said he still had more cards up his sleeves, and Jeongmu wonders what more Seong-chan could be hiding. The mention of Min Dong-woo, the man Seong-chan says is tied to Si-ola, makes Jeongmu tense up. He despises Dong-woo, and the thought that he could be Si-ola's father only deepens his concern. He thinks that he knows that he shouldn't believe Seong-chan's every word, but this keeps weighing on his mind. He dials his private investigator, Mu-young, and tells him to run a background check on Min Dong-woo for him, find out who Dong-woo is, and if he is really the culprit. The next day, Yoon-shim is in the middle of her work when Taegun suddenly appears, surprising her. She yells out in shock as she turns to face him. As she finishes packing up the items he bought, he hands her his credit card. He asks her if she's sure she doesn't want any compensation and offers to give her as much as she wants. Yoon-shim bluntly declines, telling him goodbye. As he leaves, she notices a small gift on the counter. It's a lip balm, which is what she dropped at the hotel. Then she lets out a string of curse words when she realizes it's the super expensive brand he bought. Once Taegun reaches his car, he shoves the items he bought at his driver, deep in thought. He thinks that Yoon-shim is a tough one, but she is pretty amusing nonetheless, and if he waits long enough, he should be able to meet Min Seolha. Meanwhile, in Jeongmu's office, Seolha can't stop coughing. He points out that she must have caught his cold, but she brushes it off, claiming it's the weather. As she's about to leave, Jeongmu calls her back and touches her forehead to check if she has a fever. They lock eyes for a moment, the tension, before he lets her go and tells her she should head home. Seolha, sensing something's off, asks if he has plans. He simply says yes, and walks away. As Seolha heads home later that day, she can't shake the feeling that something's different about Jeongmu. He seems anxious, and she wonders if he had a talk with Chairman Cha. She imagines Jeongmu breaking up with her and thinks that if that happens, she will just walk away with no regrets, or better yet, go out with a bang. She mutters to herself that she has to talk to him tonight, even if it's just over the phone. Just then, Jeongmu's mother asks if she means her boyfriend, surprising Se-ola. She nervously greets her, and Jeongmu's mother, noticing her discomfort, tells her not to be awkward. She then invites Se-ola to join her for dinner. As Jeongmu prepares to leave, he searches for pharmacies online. Just then, Mu-young arrives, saying that it has been impossible to see Jeongmu after high school. After they settle, Mu-young hands Jeongmu an envelope, asking him if he is sure about this, and says there are photos from the scene of the accident. Mu-young goes on to explain that one set of photos pertains to Dong-woo, while the other details the accident itself. Jeongmu clenches the papers in his hand, his voice low with anger and pain as he mutters that Hyun-young could have been saved. He wishes she had died instantly instead of enduring the suffering she went through. Mu-young tells him that it's just speculation, based on the autopsy report and the doctor's opinion. No one really knows what happened in the moments following the accident. He tells Jeongmu that the investigation was difficult because there were no security cameras in the area, but he was able to track down footage from a nearby rooftop camera. Mu-young slides another envelope toward Jeongmu, explaining that the case had already been settled with other evidence, but the new footage reveals something important. Inside is a picture of a man standing next to the car that hit Hyun-young, captured from the video. The image is grainy, but Mu-young shares the findings from a video analysis expert, who confirmed that the man matched Dong-woo's description. However, there is a small margin of error, he adds, because Dong-woo's car wasn't registered under his name. But the fact remains, Dong-woo was involved in the accident. Jeongmu thinks that after hearing all of this, it still doesn't change the fact that he loves Seolha. It is just that what was once a single emotion has now branched out into several more complicated ones. He recalls the day Dong-woo was prosecuted, thinking that he feels enraged one moment, followed by a surge of grief with a touch of sorrow and pity. But above all, he feels the unfairness of it all. He thinks that Seolha deserves nothing but love, and it scares him just how much his heart grows for her with each passing day. He questions why this must happen to them. His tears falls on the floor as he thinks that it has become an absolute sin to love Si-ola, and he can't even begin to describe how unfair this is. Meanwhile, Si-ola waits at Arpeggio, Kim Woo-wee's bar, for Jeongmu's mother. Jeongmu's mother had suggested that they go to a bar instead of dinner. Woo-wee, busy working, walks in with an employee and immediately spots Si-ola sitting there. He stares at her, completely tuning out whatever his employee is saying. When the employee asks if he's heading home, Woo-wee says he is going to check the storage room before he goes. Jeongmu's mother returns from the bathroom, and she and Si-ola chat about the bar. She reminisces about how it's been around forever, and how she and Jeongmu's father used to come here all the time. Then, out of nowhere, she adds that is why rooting for Si-ola and Jeongmu. She casually mentions that Jeongmu has been thinking about marriage and asks if Si-ola feels the same way, leaving Si-ola completely stunned. She adds that Jeongmu has been quieter since the accident, but he is the sweetest guy. Curious, Si-ola asks about the accident. Jeongmu's mother explains that Jeongmu had a twin sister, born just 2 minutes after him, but a hit and run took her away too soon. Meanwhile, in his room, Taegun is with a woman, but his mind is somewhere else, on Yunshim. When they're done, the woman asks when they will meet again, and he bluntly shuts her down, saying he never sleeps with the same woman twice. He checks his phone, annoyed that Kim Seong-chan hasn't responded yet. Then his eyes land on a document with Si-ola's name, photo, workplace, and address. He frowns, wondering what he's supposed to do if this is all Seong-chan can dig up. Back at the bar, Si-ola says goodbye to Jeongmu's mother. Then she rummages through her bag for her phone, thinking she hadn't expected the snow to come down this hard. She wonders if Jeongmu is still stuck in his meeting. Seeing no replies to her messages, she assumes he is. With a sigh, she mutters that she really wanted to settle things today. Woo-wee appears behind her and asks if her boyfriend is giving her a hard time. Startled, she turns to him and awkwardly asks if he's here to drink. He shrugs, says something like that, and then introduces himself. She does the same, and he offers her a ride home, mentioning the heavy snow and the construction site nearby. She politely declines, saying she has somewhere to stop first. Just as she's about to leave, he stops her, saying he'd feel bad letting a potential regular go unprepared, and hands her an umbrella. She assumes he's an employee and thanks him, asking for his bank account so she can pay for it. He just laughs and tells her to keep it. She thanks him again and walks off, while Woo-wee watches her disappear into the snow. He sighs, wishing a certain someone would step back into the world too. Meanwhile, Jeongmu stands on his balcony, staring at the snowman figurine, his thoughts tangled up with Hyun-young. He realizes he never really thought about what Min Dong-woo's family must have gone through. Who would have guessed Si-ola was part of that family? He picks up his phone, knowing he can't keep avoiding her forever, even if he has no idea what to say. Seeing all the missed calls and messages from her, he figures she's probably still awake waiting for him. He finally calls her back, but Si-ola doesn't answer. Instead, an unfamiliar voice picks up, asking who he is to Si-ola. Confused, Jeongmu asks who they are. The person on the other end introduces themselves as a paramedic and says they're transferring Si-ola to the hospital. Shock slams into him. The next thing he knows, he's racing to the hospital, his mind in chaos. But one thing is painfully clear. No matter her past, no matter who she is, Si-ola is the only one who fills his entire world. The only one who can shake his entire world as well. Jeongmu once heard that it only takes 3 seconds to fall in love at first sight. But the day he met Si-ola, he realized it didn't even take that long. He had been in the middle of interviewing candidates for his assistant position, already feeling drained. Every person before her sounded either too rehearsed or too desperate to impress. Then Si-ola spoke. At that moment, something shifted. Her confidence, the sincerity in her eyes. He was completely drawn in. From that day on, she kept carving her way deeper into his thoughts until she became so ingrained in his heart that life without her seemed impossible. Now, as he grips the steering wheel, speeding toward the hospital, his heart pounds with fear. The paramedic had told him there was a major accident due to the slippery roads, and Si-ola got caught up in it while crossing the street. She's unconscious. The worst part? It happened near his house. Guilt eats at him. How did he let this happen? When he finally reaches the hospital, he finds her lying in the emergency room, motionless but still breathing. He takes her hand, relieved to find it warm. Not cold, not lifeless. Nothing like when he held Hyun-young's hand years ago. Tears blur his vision as a single thought repeats in his head. At least she's still here. At least he can still feel her warmth. After pulling himself together, he meets with her doctor, who tells him that she is glad that he is there because she is worried that Seolha doesn't have anyone to come for her. She explains that Seolha has a mild concussion and wasn't directly hit by the car. She just fell while trying to avoid it. When Jeongmu asks why Seolha won't wake up, the doctor tells him that Seolha is just sleeping. She explains that Seolha had likely been under a lot of stress or carrying exhaustion from the past few days. The added physical shock simply made her body shut down for a moment, so she is just getting some much-needed rest. Jeongmu spends the entire night in the waiting room, unable to stop thinking about what the doctor said. Later, Eunshim arrives, clearly anxious about Seolha. She sits beside Jeongmu, listening as he explains what happened. Frustrated, she complains about the accident happening while she was out of the city, but thanks him for being there for Seolha. Jeongmu, still filled with guilt, mutters that he should have picked up Seolha's call. His voice drops as he asks, "What if she doesn't wake up?" Eunshim stands up immediately, shutting down his doubt. She says Seolha is the toughest person she knows. She even tells him a story from their high school days, how Seolha once carried her all the way to the hospital when she was seriously sick. She assures Jeongmu that Seolha will be back on her feet in no time. As if proving her right, a nurse walks in, letting them know that Seolha is awake. Jeongmu arrives at Seolha's room. He pulls her into a gentle hug the moment he sees her. He asks how she is feeling, his voice thick with worry. Seolha, noticing just how shaken he is, thinks she's never seen him like this before. She reassures him that she just needs some rest and tells him not to worry so much. From the doorway, Eunshim watches them for a moment before deciding to give them some time alone and will come back later. Later, as Seolha eats, Jeongmu watches her closely before asking if she wants him to feed her. She says she is fine, but he doesn't let it go. He tells her she should ask him because he wants to do it, then takes the food from her. She assures him that she is okay, then asks him about the room as she notices for the first time how luxurious the room is. He tells her that the doctor told him earlier that she needed to absolutely get her full rest. She simply comments on how big and nice the room is. Instead of responding, he takes her hand and apologizes, and she tells him he didn't do anything wrong. Then she adds that she was happy that he was the first person she saw when she woke up. Then, with a teasing smile, she adds that she's never seen him cry before. His face immediately turns red. Meanwhile, Eunshim heads to Arpeggio, deciding she will have 2 cocktails and then leave. As she moves through the bar, she accidentally bumps into someone. She starts to apologize until she realizes who it is. Taegun. Without another word, she turns on her heel, ready to walk away. But he's faster. Annoyed by her reaction, he grabs her wrist, pulls her back, and kisses her. Eunshim starts pounding on Taegun's chest, but he doesn't budge. It annoys her even more. Why is he so damn strong? Frustrated, she does the first thing that comes to mind. She bites his lip. Taegun immediately pulls away, wiping at the small trace of blood. She yells at him, asking if he's lost his mind and threatening to call the cops. Before she can make a move, Taegun's assistant steps in, quickly apologizing on Taegun's behalf. He explains that Taegun had too much to drink. Eunshim scoffs, asking if she's just supposed to forgive him because he's drunk. The assistant doesn't try to make excuses. He just keeps bowing and apologizing. Something about him reminds Eunshim of herself when she has to deal with rude customers, and with a sigh, she decides to let it go. Then she walks away while Taegun just stares at her without saying a word. At the hospital, Si-ola stands on the rooftop, taking in the crisp air and the view. Jeongmu appears beside her, handing her a hot cup of coffee and asking if she isn't cold. She smiles and takes a sip. As she drinks, Jeongmu tells her that he heard the chairman came to see her last week. Taking her hand in his, he tells her that he knows what she's worried about, but he won't ever let it happen. She shouldn't let what others say get to her. She should just focus on him. Si-ola tries to hold it in, but the warmth of his words, the reassurance, everything. It's too much. Tears start falling before she can stop them. People around them start whispering, throwing him judgmental looks. Someone even calls him a bad husband for making his wife cry in public. Jeongmu doesn't care. He pulls her close, apologizing, telling her to blame him for everything. She shakes her head, saying she's just overwhelmed with gratitude, and now that she's started crying, she can't stop. He tells her he won't let go of her, even if she pushes him away, so she has to promise she'll never leave him. Through her tears, she tells him he has to keep that promise. He smiles and runs a finger over her lips, but the moment they realize people are watching, they awkwardly turn in opposite directions. Then Jeongmu's phone rings. When he sees the caller ID, his expression darkens. He tells Si-ola to go inside while he takes the call. After he leaves, a group of women approach Si-ola, smiling. They gush about how dependable her husband is, and how obvious it is that she and Jeongmu are newlyweds. Then they casually mention that Jeongmu told them they just got engaged and that he's her husband-to-be. Si-ola freezes, replaying their words in her head. She blinks, confused. What are they talking about? Jeongmu steps into the stairwell, answering the call with a sharp tone. Seongchan greets him like they're old friends, casually asking how he's been. He isn't in the mood for small talk, so he tells Seongchan to get to the point, knowing full well he didn't call just to check in. Seongchan doesn't argue. Instead, he reminds Jeongmu about his offer, pointing out that the deadline is creeping closer. Jeongmu says he doesn't recall making any promises. Seongchan asks him if he should call it a blunt threat instead. Then he threatens to go to Si-ola if Jeongmu doesn't comply. Jeongmu angrily tells Seongchan that he seems to think that he has the upper hand, but he is sorely mistaken, and he doesn't believe a single word he says. Seongchan tells Jeongmu to do nothing and see what happens. With that, he ends the call. Back in the hospital room, Si-ola can't get the women's words out of her head. Newlyweds. Husband-to-be. It replays in her mind like a broken record. Then her thoughts spiral even further. Would Jeongmu's family even accept her? Where should the proposal take place? Who would give a speech at their wedding? While Jeongmu watches her, clearly noticing how lost in thought she is, he waves a hand in front of her face, snapping her back to reality. He asks her what she is thinking about. She almost says she was thinking about their wedding, but quickly swaps it out for some excuse about Wednesday plans instead. He tells her to stop thinking about other things and focus on him. Her heart pounds as she meets his gaze. Then, without even realizing what she's doing, she grabs his face and kisses him. The moment it sinks in, she pushes him, flustered and mumbling something about not knowing what came over her. Jeongmu doesn't hesitate. He stands up and kisses her right back. When he pulls away, he tells her that he wasn't trying to touch her since she is still recovering, and she tells him to touch her. So he does, kissing her again, completely unaware that in the process, his hand just pressed the emergency button. Just as things start heating up, a knock on the door interrupts them. 2 nurses walk in, looking concerned, saying they came because the emergency button was pressed. Si-ola, completely mortified, quickly says it was a mistake, her face burning with embarrassment. Meanwhile, Jeongmu turns his back to the nurses, staring at the wall, trying his best to calm himself down. The next day, Jeongmu takes Si-ola home from the hospital. She thanks him for the ride and promises to call once she gets inside. Just as she turns to leave, he suddenly steps out of the car, holding a bouquet of roses. With a small smile, he hands them to her, congratulating her on getting discharged. Surprised but touched, she thanks him. Then she says that a few of his sweaters are still at her place and tells him he should come inside to pick them up. She even offers to make him some tea. But instead of following her in, Jeongmu hurriedly tells her to give them to him next time and practically bolts back to his car. Si-ola watches him drive off, a little confused. She assumes he must be exhausted. Meanwhile, Jeongmu thinks that if he went inside with her, he knows he wouldn't be able to just retrieve his clothes. He isn't confident in his self-control, so he decides to hold back. For now. The next day at work, Si-ola is busy catching up on everything she missed while she was sick. Jeongmu, about to enter his office, pauses and watches her with a soft smile for a while before going into his office. Later in the evening, just as Si-ola is about to wrap up for the day, she gets a text from Eunshim inviting her to dinner. As she's about to reply, a handsome but nervous-looking guy approaches her, asking for a report. Meanwhile, Jeongmu starts heading out, thinking he will ask Si-ola for dinner. When he steps out of his office, he freezes when he sees the guy talking to Si-ola. He wonders who the guy is as he has never seen him before. Also, he recognizes the looks of the guy's face. Jeongmu considers telling the guy that he's Si-ola's boyfriend, but holds back, not wanting to put her in an awkward spot. Still, watching them together annoys him. He stands there frowning until Si-ola suddenly appears in front of him, calling his name. He flinches, realizing the guy is already gone. He asks her if she is done, and when she says yes, they leave the office together. Meanwhile, in his office, Taegun absent-mindedly touches his lips, thinking about kissing Eunshim. Out of nowhere, he asks his sister if she's ever bitten someone's lip before. Kang-hee eyes him suspiciously and asks if he got dumped. He scoffs, asking if she thinks he's her. She snaps that she wasn't dumped, and he smirks, telling her that maybe things can stay that way, especially since Chairman Cha just called and wants to meet for dinner. The next day, Si-ola struggles to carry a heavy box to Venus when Jeongmu suddenly takes it from her. As they walk and talk, Seong-chan secretly snaps a picture of them. As he checks the photo, Mu-young suddenly appears behind him, making him jump. Mu-young coolly tells him that people like him should be rotting in prison and casually asks how much Taegun paid him. Seong-chan nervously plays dumb, but Mu-young just slings an arm around his shoulder and suggests they go have a little chat. Before walking off, Mu-young glances at Jeongmu, noticing how happy he looks. He finally understands why Jeongmu seemed so anxious when they last talked about the accident. After work, the same guy from yesterday approaches Si-ola again and hesitantly asks if she has dinner plans. Before she can answer, Jeongmu steps in, casually reminding her that she already has plans. The guy stiffens, clearly intimidated, as Jeongmu firmly states that he and Si-ola are having dinner together. The guy laughs awkwardly, mumbles that he'll ask another time, and quickly walks away. Jeongmu turns to Si-ola and asks what she and the guy talked about. She insists it was just work, but he frowns, admitting that even a short conversation bothers him. He confesses that he gets jealous and wishes the guy would only talk to her through the company's messenger. He even admits that he even considered telling the guy he's her boyfriend. Before he can say more, Si-ola covers his mouth, glancing around the empty office. When she sees no one's around, she sighs in relief and starts to pull her hand away, but Jeongmu grabs it and kisses her. Then, with a teasing smile, he hints that since no one is here, maybe they should do something fun. When she asks him what he means, he tells her that he is saying they go home now and goes back to his office, saying he wants to grab his key. Si-ola thinks about how the last time they kissed was in the hospital. Since then, all they've done is hold hands. Noticing his key on her desk, she picks it up and goes to give it to him. The moment she steps into his office, Jeongmu pulls her close, the key slipping from her fingers and clattering to the floor. Then he locks the door and kisses her. The next day, Si-ola steps out of the bathroom to find her entire house spotless. Jeongmu, sitting casually on the couch with a book. She tells him he didn't have to do all that, but he just shrugs, saying he barely did anything. He watches her for a moment before asking if she wants him to dry her hair. When he finishes, he runs his fingers through it, commenting on how soft it is, which makes her heart race. The doorbell rings and their food arrives. Just as Si-ola gets ready to eat, another delivery comes. Then another. She stares at the growing pile of food, wondering how they're supposed to finish all this. 30 minutes later, she leans back, feeling like she's about to burst. She asks if that's everything, and Jeongmu casually mentions dessert, and she perks up at the mention of sweets. He kisses her on the cheek, and she shoots him a look, asking if they didn't already do enough yesterday. He smirks and tells her it wasn't enough for him. He had to endure an entire night alone, after all. He even resisted the urge to take matters into his own hands. She blinks at him and asks if he actually does that kind of thing when he's alone. When he admits that he does, she says she can't imagine it. Amused, he pushes her onto the couch, offering to show her. She yelps and threatens to scream if he doesn't stop, making him laugh. Meanwhile, Taegun arrives at Arpeggio and spots Woo-wee working. He casually asks how Woo-yeon is doing, earning himself an immediate glare. Taegun innocently says he's just curious about how Woo-wee's little sister is holding up. Woo-wee coldly tells him it's none of his business. Taegun starts walking away but throws in a parting remark, telling Woo-wee to pass along a hello to his sister. For the next few days, all Jeongmu can think about is the nice and steamy place Si-ola is taking him to. His mind goes wild with possibilities. But when the day finally comes, she takes him to a sauna. Disappointing. Later, as they relax, he comments on how she stayed in the sauna for such a long time. She was so focused, he didn't even get a chance to talk to her. Leaning in, he adds that it was hot and steamy in there, and it really put him in the mood. Si-ola stiffens, eyes wide. The mood for what? Before she can yell at him, he smirks and clarifies. He meant the mood to challenge her and see who could last longer. Her face burns as she fans herself. This man. He's such a fox these days. Jeongmu just grins, watching her squirm. Then a ball rolls toward her. She looks up and sees some kids searching for it, so she picks it up and hands it over. Their faces light up with joy. Jeongmu watches as she interacts with them. When she comes back, she proudly shows off the candy the kids gave her, grinning like she just won the lottery. "Do you like kids?" he asks. She tells him that she loves them, and her dream was to be a teacher. He asks her how many children she wants if she gets married. She blushes, saying she isn't sure, and quickly changes the topic by suggesting they go into another room. After their sauna time, they stroll through the lively, Christmas-lit streets, hand in hand. Seolha asks what he did last Christmas, and he casually says he just worked. Then he adds that he wanted to have dinner with her, but Yoonshim got to her first. She tells him that this year, she plans to spend time with Yoonshim in advance so she can spend Christmas with her boyfriend. Jeongmu's phone buzzes with a message from Chairman Cha, calling him to a meeting with Taekang Group that night. Se-ola asks him if it is something important, and he says the text is just spam. After that, they go to the cinema to see a movie. Jeongmu barely pays attention to the screen, too caught up watching her. He thinks that he wishes he can only see Se-ola smile without a care in the world. He wants her to be the first thing he sees when he wakes up, and he wants to be with her all day long. Love isn't something that can be measured, but if it were, he is sure his love for her is much bigger and goes way deeper. She might be too good for him, but one thing is certain. He's never letting her go. Chairman Cha, Taegun, and Kang-hee wait for Jeongmu. Chairman Cha checks his phone and sees that Jeongmu has read his message. Kang-hee comments that his son must be very busy. Chairman Cha quickly covers for Jeongmu, saying that something urgent came up and suggesting they enjoy a light dinner, and later they will arrange an official meeting with all the parents next time. Taegun isn't fooled. He knows Chairman Cha is just making excuses and thinks he has no control over his own son. Meanwhile, Jeongmu is in the shower with Seolha, clearly enjoying himself. Later, Seolha lies exhausted on the bed when Jeongmu walks in with a cup of tea. She glares at him. He asks why, but she just tells him to check the time. He says it's only 11, but she reminds him that they got there at 7. She warns him that next time she's doing whatever she wants, and she'll make sure he has a hard time. She's talking about their sauna bet. Whoever lasted longer in the ice room got to make the loser do whatever they wanted. Jeongmu won, and he definitely took full advantage of it in the shower. He just grins, saying he's looking forward to it. He stands up, telling her to rest while he finishes up some work. She offers to help, but he says he's fine. With nothing to do, Seolha eventually wanders into his home office where he's working. She stops in the doorway when she notices something. He's wearing glasses. She's never seen him in glasses before. He looks up and takes them off, saying work is taking longer than expected. She immediately tells him to keep them on, thinking about how good he looks. She also notes that he has a perfect body and is great at his job. Jeongmu pulls her onto his lap and asks if she's just going to keep staring. She says it's not every day she gets to see him like this. He kisses her and hugs her, telling her he doesn't want her to go home. She tells him she can always come over. He suggests moving into the house next to hers, or living together. Si-ola imagines what living together with Jeongmu would be like, going to work together, spending all day with each other, and being the first person they see in the morning. Just thinking about it makes her heart flutter. But then, Chairman Cha's words creep into her mind, and her excitement fades. Jeongmu notices right away. As if reading her thoughts, he reassures her that he won't let his father get in the way. She shakes her head, saying that's not it. He tells her that if there's anything he can do better, she should tell him, and he'll work on it. She tells him he's already fine just the way he is. It's just that thinking about living together makes her so happy. He pulls her close, saying he feels the same. His mind drifts to the ring hidden in his drawer and thinks that once again he's failed to hold himself back. But how could he, when all he ever wants is to confirm their love over and over again? The following week, Si-ola is having coffee with Eunshim when the topic of her father's birthday comes up. Eunshim offers to make the food, but Si-ola declines, saying she can handle it. Eunshim insists, saying she'll only use the best beef. Si-ola thinks that she'll have to tell Jeongmu about her father one day. Eunshim shifts the conversation, bringing up how Jeongmu is actually spending time with a friend for once. When Si-ola says it's an old high school friend, Eunshim immediately asks if it's a guy or a girl. Si-ola realizes she didn't ask, and Eunshim dramatically scolds her for skipping the most important detail. Si-ola says she will ask before she gets off work. Later that evening, Si-ola watches as Jeongmu gets ready. He notices the look on her face and asks what she's thinking about. She hesitates before finally asking if his friend is a guy. Then, as if to cover herself, she quickly adds that she doesn't care if it's a woman. Jeongmu smirks, teasingly saying he suddenly feels like keeping it a secret. She tightens her grip on her tab, muttering that as long as they're just friends, it's fine. He lifts her chin, promising to introduce them next time, then tells her not to run off anywhere while he's gone. At the bar, Jeongmu finds Mu-young already waiting. After a quick greeting, he brings up Seong-chan. Mu-young says dealing with Seong-chan wasn't hard. He had plenty of dirt on him, but warns that Seong-chan will eventually side with Taegun again, if he hasn't already. Then, Mu-young mentions that he dug deeper into Min Dong-woo and brought files. Later that night, Si-ola comes home feeling stuffed from dinner when she gets a call from Jeongmu. Minutes later, she steps out of her building, searching for him. He told her he missed her and that he was nearby. When she finds him, she asks what he's doing there. Jeongmu recalls his conversation with Mu-young. After hearing about the files, he had told Mu-young to forget everything. Everything he was about to say and everything he had already said. Mu-young had asked if he was sure. Jeongmu isn't okay, but one thing he knows for certain is that if he had been with Hyun-young that day, the accident never would have happened. Since he was the cause of it, he should be the only one carrying the guilt. He pulls Si-ola into a hug. He had told Mu-young to destroy everything, to pretend none of it ever existed. This is his decision, despite the risk. Jeongmu had asked Mu-young if he had ever wanted something so desperately that it hurt. He said that it had already been 10 years since he begged and prayed for Hyun-young to survive. 10 long years before, he finally found something he wanted again. If he lost this too, he didn't think he'd be able to live with himself. So, they had to bury everything about Min Dong-woo. Back in the present, Si-ola asks Jeongmu if he's okay. He simply tells her that he missed her. She calls him a liar. He hugs her tighter and tells her that he missed her so much that he had to come see her. She complains that he reeks of alcohol, and he teases, asking if she wants him to leave. Instead, she hugs him back, saying she missed him too and is glad he's here. Later, Si-ola goes through the clothes Jeongmu left at her place, trying to pick something for him to wear to work while he just clings to her. She sighs, asking how long he plans on holding her like that. He says, "Forever." Then he starts kissing her cheek over and over again. She tells him to go wash up first, but instead, he rests his head on her shoulder and playfully asks if she'll wash him instead. For a second, she almost considers it, but she stays strong and shoves him into the bathroom. She stands outside the bathroom door as she wonders why he even got drunk in the first place. He never drinks. He went out with a friend just once, and now he comes back tipsy? That night, Jeongmu watches her sleep until he finally dozes off too. The next day, after a meeting, Jeongmu helps Si-ola clean up. She tells him she can do it alone, but he insists it'll go faster if he helps. Then she suddenly asks if he remembers anything from the night before. He freezes, cautiously asking if he did something wrong, and she says she was just wondering. Memories start rushing back, making his face heat up in embarrassment. Before she can say anything else, he quickly reminds her that she had something urgent to do. But she starts listing all the things he did anyway. Meanwhile, at the store, Yoonshim stares at the drawer where she kept the lip balm Taegun gave her. She had planned to return it, but now she's considering just tossing it out. A man approaches the counter and plops a bag down, demanding a refund. When she checks the shirt inside, she immediately notices the stretched neckline and a stain. She tells him she can't process a refund for a damaged product. The man claims it was already like that when he bought it yesterday. Yoonshim feels her patience wearing thin, but she keeps her smile. Just then, Taegun walks in and immediately steps into the situation. He tells the man he's not the only customer in the store. The man glares at him, demanding to know who he is and threatening to file a complaint. Taegun calmly points out exactly what's wrong with the shirt. The man, clearly guilty, changes tactics and accuses Venus of using cheap fabric. Meanwhile, the argument starts drawing the attention of other customers. Unbothered, Taegun tells the man that if he's so confident, they should just take it to court. 15 minutes later, the man storms out of the store, swearing never to return, after Yoonshim gives him the refund. Taegun, clearly annoyed, asks why she refunded him. She shrugs, saying it wasn't a big deal. Then, without missing a beat, she tells him to leave too, or she'll call security. He doesn't budge. Instead, he quietly tells her that he came to apologize. That makes her stop mid-fold. He apologizes for how he treated her when he was drunk. Then, after a brief pause, he asks if he can make it up to her by treating her to dinner. After that, Taegun spends the night with a woman who looks eerily like Yoonshim. When it's over, he stares out at the city beneath him, lost in thought. He recalls what happened after he asked Yoonshim to have dinner with him. How she accepted his apology, but flat out refused the dinner, saying she didn't want to be another one of his toys. The woman behind him wraps her arms around his waist, asking if he's sobered up. He turns away without a word. She pouts, saying he's being cold, even though she knows this was just a one-night thing. He barely spares her a glance and tells her to shut up. The next day, Si-ola visits her father at the correctional facility. As she waits, she gets a text from Yoonshim saying she prayed for her to have good news. Just as Si-ola starts to lose hope, her father finally appears, her eyes filled with tears. She tells him she missed him so much, and Dongwoo, who is also crying, tells her not to cry. Meanwhile, in his office, Jeongmu thinks about what Muyong told him, that Si-ola hasn't seen her father in 10 years. He wonders if she finally got to meet him this time. His phone buzzes with a text from her saying she's waiting for the bus. Without hesitation, he calls. He offers to pick her up, but she refuses, saying the bus will be there soon. He tells her that if there's traffic, he'll come anyway. After the call ends, her mind drifts back to her father. She was so happy to see him, but she is bothered by a letter he mentioned. After catching up, Dongwoo told her that no matter how hard he tries, he can't remember what happened that day. The fact that he doesn't even remember the crime he committed is the reason he couldn't bring himself to see her all these years. Then he mentioned a letter he received, one that urged him to regain his memories and meet his family again. Si-ola wonders who could have sent that letter. As she sits there, lost in thought, snow starts to fall. She considers getting an umbrella, which reminds her of the one Woo Wee gave her. Later that night, outside Arpeggio, Woo-wee's assistant informs him that Taegun and Seong-chan haven't been to the bar in a while. Woo-wee wonders if Taegun has found a new hobby. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he spots Si-ola standing at the entrance. He calls her name and she greets him while struggling to remember his name. She hands him an umbrella, apologizing for not returning the one he gave her sooner. He smiles, saying the one she's giving him is even better than the one he lent her. She thanks him and turns to leave, but he stops her, asking if she's all right. He brings up a huge accident he heard about, saying he wondered if she was involved since she never returned the umbrella. He says he even asked the woman she came with that night, but she didn't seem to know anything, and asked if it was a secret. Si-ola tells him she didn't mention it because she didn't want to worry her friend, but she can't help but think Woo-wee is oddly perceptive. He tells her that if she ever comes back with her friend, he'll give them a free cocktail. Before he can finish his sentence, Jeongmu suddenly pulls Si-ola close as he says he is going to join too. 5 minutes earlier, he had been driving to pick her up when he spotted her with Woo-wee. His grip tightened on the steering wheel as he considered turning his car around. Now, back in the present, Woo-wee glances between them before smirking. He looks at Jeongmu and says, "You must be Si-ola's boyfriend." Se-ola confirms that Jeongmu is her boyfriend. She calls him by his name and tells him that Woo-wee works at the bar his mother likes to visit. Woo-wee stretches out a hand for a handshake, introducing himself. But before Jeongmu can respond, his assistant calls him boss. Se-ola blinks, wondering if that means Woo-wee owns the place. The assistant whispers something to him, and Woo-wee tells them he has to go. He glances at Se-ola and says he'll see her again before walking off. Minutes later, Jeongmu pulls up in front of Se-ola's apartment. She thanks him for bringing her home, but he stays quiet. He's been quiet ever since they left Arpeggio. Finally, he asks about her visit with her father. She tells him it went well, and she was happy to see her dad after so long. Then she adds that she'll introduce them next time. Jeongmu nods, saying whenever she wants. Then he leans on the steering wheel and brings up the way she casually called him by his name earlier. He tells her to say it again. Se-ola suddenly feels awkward now that he's putting her on the spot. But she reasons that she can't keep calling her boyfriend Mr. Cha forever. She murmurs his name, barely audible. He teases her, saying he can't hear her. So she looks at him and says she misses him so much today, adding his name at the end. He smiles, satisfied, and tells her he missed her too. They stare at each other for a long moment before he suddenly asks when she borrowed an umbrella from Woo-wee. After she explains how she got it and says next time, she'll just run off instead of stopping to chat. Jeongmu says he doesn't care if Woo-wee lends her an umbrella, but the way he says it makes it sound like he definitely does. That weekend, Se-ola and Jeongmu have a little barbecue party, just the two of them in a beautiful house. Se-ola insists on grilling the meat herself, even though Jeongmu doesn't seem too confident about letting her handle it alone. She tells him she wants to try, and he lets her. She nearly sets everything on fire in the process. Still, she somehow manages to grill the meat perfectly. After eating, Jeongmu waits by the pool, already in his swimsuit. Se-ola steps out, a towel wrapped tightly around her body. She says it's a bit chilly, but the real reason she's covering up is that she forgot she was going to wear a bikini and ate way too much, so now she's feeling a little self-conscious. Just as she's about to sit down, she steps on a small puddle of water, her foot slipping. Before she can catch herself, she falls straight into the pool, her towel flying off in the process. Jeongmu, who instinctively moves to catch her, ends up falling in with her. When they surface, he immediately asks if she's okay. She says she's fine and apologizes for making him fall in too, but he's not even listening. He's staring at her. The moment she realizes, she quickly crosses her arms over her stomach, trying to cover up. Jeongmu reaches out, cupping her face. His thumb brushes against her cheek as he tells her she doesn't have to hide anything. Then he kisses her, and they get intimate. That night, Yoonshim is out for some night jogging when she notices Taegun behind her, which makes her wonder if he lives in the area. She jogs faster to ignore him, but he follows her and asks her why she is ignoring him. She tells him he knows why, and he says he doesn't. She just continues jogging as she decides to pretend that he isn't there. Meanwhile, Jeongmu and Si-ola are still going at it. The next morning, Si-ola wakes up, realizing she and Jeongmu had fallen asleep completely bare after an intense night that lasted till dawn. Then she smells the soothing scent of lavender and sits up to find a massive diffuser by the bedside. As she looks around, she can't help but love everything about this house. Jeongmu stirs awake and asks if she wants to eat anything. Before she can answer, he pulls her in for a lazy kiss and tells her to name whatever she wants. He'll make it for her. She grins and throws out a random craving. A burger and black bean noodles, and he says he can manage if they have the ingredients. That night, Taegun finds himself thinking about Yoonshim, wondering if she really lives nearby. He even considers stepping out, hoping to run into her again. Before he can act on the thought, his phone buzzes. It's a text from Seong-chan, letting him know that Venus just secured exclusive rights to carry apparel brand W Taegun scowls, thinking that brand W had refused Taekang Group's offer, but jumped at the chance to work with Venus instead. He tosses his phone onto the bed, knowing his father is going to be furious. Then, another thought crosses his mind. Should he tell Si-ola about Hyunyoung? Jeongmu's only real weakness is Si-ola, and if he plays his cards right, it could be a devastating blow. Meanwhile, Si-ola sits outside, sipping tea as she gazes at the stars. Jeongmu drapes a blanket over her shoulders before sitting beside her, casually mentioning how many stars are out tonight. He tells her that's why he chose this house. She can see the stars clearly. It is quiet and there is a yard. He asks her if she likes the place and tells her that he designed it to her taste. Before she can process what he is saying, he asks her to marry him and swears that he will always be good to her. Jeongmu holds the ring box open, reminding Si-ola that she already said she didn't mind living together, so she should please marry him. He slides the beautiful diamond ring onto her finger, and she says yes. She tells him that he's too good for her, and that she doesn't know if she deserves this. He tells her that he should be the one saying that, and seals the moment with a kiss. Monday afternoon at work, Si-ola helps Jeongmu into his coat when he suddenly notices something. She's not wearing her ring. His mind flashes back to the night before when she had asked him when he even had time to prepare the diffuser, the house, and the ring. He had just shrugged, saying he worked on it whenever he had free time. When he asked if she liked the ring, she told him she loved it and would never, ever lose it. Now, he figures she must have taken it off for work. She catches him staring and asks if something's wrong. He looks away before casually pointing out that she isn't wearing her ring. Instead of answering, she sets her tablet down and unbuttons the top of her shirt just enough to reveal the ring hanging on a necklace. It's too flashy for work, she explains. He pulls her into a hug, confessing that he barely got any sleep last night because he was too happy. He also worried that maybe, just maybe, he'd wake up and realize this was all just a dream. Then, out of nowhere, he asks what she's going to call him once they're married and suggests something like babe. She immediately gives him a look, asking where that came from. He grins and says he just thinks he'll sleep better if he knows in advance. She warns him to quit messing around at work unless he wants their date canceled. That evening in Si-ola's apartment, they decorate a Christmas tree together, something Si-ola has always wanted to do. Jeongmu asks if she's decided on Christmas plans yet and suggests either an overseas trip or camping. She picks camping without hesitation. Just then, the doorbell rings. Excited, she rushes to the door, saying the package Yoonshim sent must have arrived. But when she opens the box, her excitement turns into shock. Meanwhile, Yoonshim, out for a jog, crosses paths with Taegun again and does her best to ignore him. But just as she speeds up, she twists her ankle. Taegun immediately moves to help, but she insists she can stand on her own, only to realize she actually can't. Left with no choice, she lets him help her. After taking her to the hospital, he ends up carrying her on his back all the way home. As they walk, she asks if he lives in the area. He says he moved there recently to get away from his father. When she comments that it sounds like they don't have a great relationship, he simply replies, "You could say that." Then, after a beat, he casually asks what she's doing for Christmas. Before she can answer, he says it would be nice if she paid him back for today by going on a date with him. At Si-ola's place, she turns red as she stares at the lingerie Yoonshim sent her. When Jeongmu sees it, he casually says, "Yoonshim has great taste," and calls it a thoughtful gift. Si-ola immediately says she's returning it because it's not her style. Jeongmu picks it up, saying he likes it. She tells him to wear it then. The next day, Si-ola and Yoonshim have lunch outside. Si-ola tells Yoonshim she's going to get her back one day when she starts dating someone. Yoonshim brushes it off, saying she's too busy with work to date. Si-ola asks her if she is sure she isn't dating anyone in secret, and if she didn't say someone asked her out last time. Yoonshim looks away, thinking about how Taegun said he would call her to have dinner with him. She quickly says it was just dinner, nothing more. Si-ola says it sounds like there is something more going on, but before she can push further, she gets a text. Without missing a beat, Yoonshim guesses it's from Jeongmu. When Si-ola asks how she knew, Yoonshim grins, saying Jeongmu starts missing her around this time of day. Then they head back inside. Later, Si-ola meets Jeongmu in the stairwell, where he hands her a box of coffee for her to share with her team. She scolds him for not asking her to help, but he just shrugs, saying he's fine. His mind, however, is somewhere else. Earlier that day, he had a tense call with his father. Chairman Cha had found out that Si-ola was Dongwoo's daughter, and, worse, that she still had no idea who her father had unalived. Jeongmu told his father that Si-ola did nothing wrong, so he should stay out of it. His father bluntly asked if he really intended to stay with her, knowing the truth. Then, as if everything was already decided, he told Jeongmu to be at Taekang's hotel on the 25th for a marriage discussion. And of course, he threatens, saying that Jeongmu wouldn't want any gossip to spread because it wouldn't be good for him and his secretary. Now, standing in the stairwell, Jeongmu just watches Si-ola as she talks. Then, without a word, he leans in and kisses her. He murmurs that there's still time before they have to go back and no one is around, so they should stay a little longer. She smiles and agrees. Meanwhile, Taegun finally has dinner with Eunshim. He asks about her ankle, and when she says it's fine, he tells her he was worried. She wonders why he'd even be worried about her and why he chose today for dinner when Christmas is still days away. As if reading her thoughts, he says, Christmas felt too far away to wait. Eunshim tells him there was no reason to put off paying him until Christmas. Taegun clinks his glass with hers and casually says she should meet him on Christmas too, then adds, as a couple. That night, Si-ola walks home while on the phone with Jeongmu. He asks if he can come over, but she reminds him he has a morning meeting and that it's already late. He agrees to wait, even though he misses her like crazy. Feeling worried, he asks if she's sure she should be walking home alone in the dark. Meanwhile, someone is actually following her. She stops and turns around, sensing someone behind her. But there's nothing there. The person following her hides in a dark alley. As she looks at the empty street, she thinks that she could have sworn that someone was behind her. Later, Si-ola sits in bed, thinking about what happened earlier. Jeongmu had been panicking on the phone when she suddenly stopped talking. She had told him she thought someone was behind her, only for a cat to casually stroll out from around the corner. Presently, she thinks that she must have been mistaken about thinking that someone was following her. Jeongmu passes her a cup of tea and she apologizes for making him come to her place at this hour. He tells her that he is just glad it was nothing, but he was really worried on the drive here. Which is why he was thinking they should book their wedding venue as soon as possible. Also, they need to pick out her dress, or he should stay with her for the time being. She smirks, teasing him about his romantic way of wooing a woman. He leans in and tells her she's the only woman he's ever wooed like this. She raises an eyebrow, asking how he did it with other women then. But he simply says she was his first love, and for the past 3 years he's been absolutely lovesick because of her, so she'd better be good to him. Meanwhile, outside her apartment, Seong-chan watches from the street. The next day, Taegun finds himself thinking about his conversation with Eunshim. After he asked her out again, she had politely turned him down. When he asked if he wasn't her type, she said it wasn't about that. They were just too different. He said he would match her and that he really liked her. She had asked why, and he had thrown the question back. Does there have to be a reason to like someone? But she wasn't done. She asked him if he could quit drinking, respect his employees more, stop swearing and be a kind person. Now, as he sits in his office, he thinks that Eunshim just keeps getting more interesting, and she really knows how to challenge him. Seongchan walks in, giving him an update. Si-ola and Jeongmu's relationship seems solid. For now. Then he asks why Taegun is suddenly so interested in Eunshim. Taegun smiles as he looks at the papers Seongchan gave him, as he says that it is because she is interesting. And because she's Si-ola's friend. He wonders if true friendship even exists in this world as he tosses a few pictures of Eunshim onto his desk. He's curious to see just how strong Eunshim and Seolha's friendship really is. The next day, Venus is packed with customers. Eunshim quickly realizes it's because Taegun is in the store. Every woman is staring at him. As she stares at him, Taegun looks at her, and she quickly faces her work. After work, Taegun walks with Eunshim as she heads home. Then, out of nowhere, he tells her he does have a reason. He says she is considerate, she is passionate about her job, and he loves her smile. That's why he thinks he can do all the things she asked of him. Then he asks if she still won't give him a chance. She hesitates. She thinks that his behavior and attitude has drastically changed. That is why she wants to believe that the rumors about him are just rumors. So she asks if he really, truly promises to do everything he just said. He looks her in the eyes and swears he will, if it means she'll give him a chance. Meanwhile, Si-ola is on her way home alone, texting Jeongmu. He apologizes for not being able to take her home, and she sniffles as she replies, thinking about how cold it is. Then, suddenly, that feeling comes back, like someone is following her. Before she can think, she swings her handbag hard at the person behind her, while threatening to call the police. The person turns out to be Wooey. He stumbles back, clutching his face, and quickly apologizes, saying he didn't mean to scare her, and says he was worried she would run into the lamppost, which she didn't see because she was so worried about who was behind her. She apologizes for hitting him. He tells her it is okay and asks her if she is on her way home. She says yes and suggests he follows her to a nearby pharmacy. He agrees and says he has actually been meaning to talk to her. After they visit the pharmacy where Wooey gets treated, the pair head out with their bags of spicy rice cakes. Fortunately for him, he finally gets an opportunity to talk with Si-ola. He decides to start by telling her that his friend recently opened a shop and asked him to promote it, but he doesn't really know anyone in this neighborhood. Si-ola just thanks him for the rice cakes, acknowledging that she should have been the one to treat him to a meal. She then confesses that she is glad there was a pharmacy still open at this hour before telling him she has reached her stop, meaning the end of their little walk, so he tries to prolong it by offering to walk her home, since it's dark. Si-ola politely declines the offer, claiming her place is right around the corner, forcing him to give up and call it a night before they head their separate ways. Immediately, she leaves Woohee. She starts thinking about hurrying home because she guesses Jeongmu is worried about her. She takes a few steps away from him when he decides to stop her and apologizes. This sudden move surprises her, as she doesn't see why he is apologizing. Apparently, he is apologizing for spending too much of her time when she has work tomorrow morning. Si-ola, after his apology, assures him that it's fine, adding that she even has a late-night snack because of him. He looks so warm and friendly when he is around her, but we cannot say the same about his home when he arrives. It's emitting this dark aura, covered in empty liquor bottles, which he ignores and heads for the room. Upon entering the room, his mood goes dark as well, and he tells someone he brought their favorite rice cake. But this person is hiding behind bedsheets, frantically apologizing to him. This person seems to have annoyed him. But before we can get more sauce on what's going on, the scene shifts to a much brighter one. Lunch break at the office. It's rowdy, with everyone minding their business as they discuss with their colleague of choice, just like Seolha and Yoonsim. The ladies are talking about how Yoonsim is finally dating someone. Seolha is shocked about the union, wanting to know everything about this guy who managed to sweep her best friend off her feet. Nevertheless, she suspects the guy is the customer Yoonsim was talking about the other time, and indeed he is. She declares things just got somehow between them, landing them in a relationship. During her explanation, Yoonsim blushes and Seolha notices immediately. She finds it adorable and congratulates her for not being single anymore. She is also eager to meet the man who has stolen Yoonsim's heart, and Yoonsim plans to introduce her to him after some time. Later on, she is still at work thinking about the big news her best friend shared with her. She hopes they get to catch up over some drinks tomorrow and thinks about this until she spots an envelope on her seat. She doesn't know who it's from, but when she checks out its contents, she is left speechless, wondering who pulled this stunt. It stuns her to the point that she can't even hear someone calling out to her until the person gets close, and we see it's Jeongmu. He asks her if she is okay because she looks pale and she claims she is. She then put away the pictures and envelope and assured him everything was okay. She just spaced out for a second. She blames spacing out on the fact that she has had such a busy day and asks if he needs something. It's no surprise that he does, and he tried to reach her, but since he couldn't, he came here himself. What he wants are files for the forthcoming meeting, which she promises to get for him after apologizing for being out of reach. Jeongmu silently watches her do her job, and the moments after that are rather uninteresting. Before she knows it, she is on her way home thinking about the mysterious file she found on her seat. She had asked one of the office's security personnel about it, but she didn't know much about it. All she knows is that a man who looked like an employee asked for her seat. That wasn't enough to ease her, as she still doesn't know who dropped the envelope and their motive behind putting pictures of the accident in it. She is so disturbed that it's now visible, prompting Jeongmu to ask her what's on her mind. He doesn't mind if it's nothing but complaints as long as he isn't kept in the dark. Yet his plea isn't enough to get the truth out of her. She just claims she's tired, and then he jokes about her punishing him, since he is her boss and he is giving her too much work to do. Si-ola simply replies that she will punish him by not holding his hand, but he laughs about it, calling the punishment too harsh. Well, for today, she'll stop thinking about the accident, even though she knows she can't hide it forever. Elsewhere, Yoon-sim and her new boyfriend Taegun are at the park resting. They just finished joking, and he reveals to her that this was his first jogging date. He then hands her a water bottle, which she gladly takes, chugging down as much as needed, while he watches her. When she's done, he asks her if he is the first person she has gone on a jogging date with, and she replies that he is. That's because she never really got to date much. Back in the day, she was too busy for it. He immediately guesses she was too busy working, and she agrees, adding that she doesn't recall ever taking a break. Even now, she works hard, and he acknowledges that, switching to his serious tone that leaves her speechless and warms up the atmosphere. Immediately, she can tell it's about to get intimate, so she looks away, prompting him to ask her why she is avoiding him. She claims she isn't, and he tells her that if she keeps running like this, he will be tempted to just kiss her. With the way things are going, she knows he'll actually do it, so she stops him, warning him not to say such things in a public place. Luckily for her, he listens, holding back as he asks her if she would like to come to his place instead. He tells her it's not far from the park, and she is considering the offer. After a bit, she agrees and follows him to his home. On getting there, she notices a lot of canvases and suspects he's a painter. Once more, he has surprised her. Turns out his suspicion is right, as he informs her that he is indeed an artist and, in fact, would have majored in art if his family wasn't so against it. He then points out that all she has done since they arrived is look around. She blames it on the fact that the house is worth staring at, as he pre-informed her. Nevertheless, all he does is reply to her with a funny stare as he hands her a cup of coffee. She takes the coffee and notices the look, so she wants to know if he plans to try kissing her again. He assures her he doesn't have that in mind. Instead, he is staring at her with something else in mind. He realized he didn't know her hobbies, likes and dislikes, and now he's curious. Hearing this makes her blush and declare that they can slowly get to know each other better. Suddenly, Taegun's mood changes, and he tells Yoon-sim that if she's done looking around, they should head out since it's getting late. He starts looking for his car keys when she summons up the courage to call to him and plants a kiss on his lips. After the kiss, she declares that she had fun today and wants to meet him again another time, but he responds with a kiss of his own. In the end, the pair get intimate. After their moment of intimacy, Yoon-sim is fast asleep, while Taegun is awake thinking. Normally, he calls things off after the first night, but just this one, he plans to break that rule, as he believes this relationship with her will get even more interesting. Yoon-sim is unaware of this guy's plans for her, and so is Si-ola, because if she knew, she wouldn't be here, wondering how her date went. She even plans to ask her about it the following day, only to be stopped by a mysterious man. That man is Seong-chan, Taegun's right-hand man, but she doesn't know him, even though he claims it's been a while. To help her remember him, she reminds her that they were both at Sunshine's foster home for some time. I'm guessing he wants to tell her something, but for now, let's see how Jeongmu is doing. As usual, he is at work, but he notices Si-ola isn't, so he asks the receptionist. She tells him that Si-ola left work early because something urgent came up. The word urgent catches his attention, But the receptionist guesses that whatever she went to attend to must have been so urgent if she didn't even have the time to tell Jeongmu about it. At that point, he isn't even listening. Instead, he is browsing through his phone, ending up on his calendar. He notices it's Se-ola's day off, but since he doesn't know why she's out, he can only hope she isn't facing something serious on her own. From the looks of it, she is, as she staggers through some corridor, leaning on the wall, unable to breathe. Thinking back on Seong-chan's confession, she recalls being doubtful about what she was hearing. It was about her dad's case, as in the accident that landed him in prison and caused her to end up in foster care. According to him, the person who got knocked down was Jeongmu's twin sister, Cha Hyun-young. Yes, she's the lady whose pictures were in the envelope on Se-ola's seat. He claims he tracked her down to tell her this because they grew up in the same foster home. All the information didn't make sense until she started to piece everything together. Firstly, she remembered that the victim was from a wealthy family, which lined up with the confession, but she thought she only had an elder brother. She didn't know she was Jeongmu's twin, who was born 2 minutes later than him, and that revelation left her in tears, to the point that she doesn't want Jeongmu to see her like this and runs away. She is too afraid to be in the same space with him after what her father did and refuses to pick up his calls. She was certain that he'd feel as heartbroken as she is feeling when he finds out the truth about his twin sister's demise. Ultimately, she blames everything on herself, certain that if they never met, this sorrow would never have existed. The following day, Jeongmu is lost in thought, thinking about the text he got from Seolha. In the text, she apologized for leaving work early, only for her to come today like nothing happened. Well, she only came to deliver the files he asked for the day before. He thanks her for organizing them for him, but from his tone, she can tell he must have been worried about her because of how she left work abruptly. Her mind then returns to her talk with Seong-chan and how he assumed she would lose her job after the rest of the details of the accident spread. There's also the issue of people finding out and talking down on her. All these memories make it hard for her to talk to Jeongmu because being around him reminds her of her conversation about his twin sister the day before. Amidst the chaos, she considers the possibility of the revelation being a mere rumor or misunderstanding. She is considering this possibility when he asks her if she is free tonight. He's asking because he wants to cook a nice dinner for her. Even though she is uncomfortable with the arrangement, she tags along, following him home where he whips up a meal for her. While he is at it, he advises her to rest or even take a nap if she is tired, but she isn't really listening to him. Instead, she is scanning through his library, looking for proof that he actually has a sister. She knows that if he had a sister, they probably went to the same school and remembers seeing a yearbook lying around somewhere. She wanted to believe that the things she heard that day were all lies. However, what she discovers is confirmation of the truth when she spots a photograph of him and his late sister. She now sees that the reality is more brutal than she thought. They looked so close, leaving her feeling guilty, so she doesn't pay attention to the notifications Jeongmu's phone is getting. She can no longer run from the truth, but as she draws this conclusion, Jeongmu comes to get her. He is surprised to see her with her bag, like she is about to leave, and asks what's wrong. Fortunately for her, she has something else to cover up her mood, which is the message from the chairman. She claims she thought he had settled everything with her, adding that she saw his texts with her when she was about to bring his phone for him. From the texts, she discovered that they were supposed to get married and he didn't tell her. It's a proper cover for her mood, but before she leaves, he stops her. He claims that there's a misunderstanding, but she refuses to listen, pulling away from him. That only pushes him to plead more, assuring her that he does not plan to obey his father's will. He promises her that she doesn't have to worry, but this is her chance to break free, so she's not backing down. She tells him that it's all too much for her. She has felt like leaving him from the start, and all she wanted was a short fling, but he got way too serious about them. She only played along because she was caught up in the moment and never saw herself marrying him. Even after hearing this, he refuses to back down, wanting to know why she looks like she is about to cry, when she claims this is what she wants. According to her, they are tears of joy. She is glad she finally got everything off her chest. As she left his place, she finally broke down and she knew it was because of his sister, but he didn't. On the other hand, the only thing that stopped him from stopping her from walking out that night was his fear that she was telling the truth. When he comes to his senses, he immediately rushes out, searching frantically for her. While he searches for her and calls her but gets no response, he concludes that his moment of hesitation is what has made him lose her. By Monday, he is at work, staring out the window, deeply thinking about how he did not speak to Si-ola all weekend, but he is relieved she wasn't alone. As he continues in his deep thinking, she walks into the office with some files. Without a show of emotion, she informs him that the files are for the morning meeting. She also informs him that she will be switching departments within the next month. He is shocked to hear this, but she explains that it'll be uncomfortable for them to work together going forward, and they should act like they never dated. With that, Si-ola is done, takes a bow and heads for the door. But he stops her. Apparently, he is not ready to end things yet. But she argues that she felt she made herself clear last week, and begs him not to get this close to her while they are at work. Sure, he heard her last week, and he permits her to keep pushing him away. Nevertheless, the more she pushes him away, the more he will keep coming back until she is willing to accept him again. Fast forward to later that day, Jeongmu is at the bar thinking about his discussion with Seolha that morning. Right after his declaration that he was not ready to let her go, she just told him that it was almost time for their meeting and she had to go. Being the gentleman he is, he lets her go, but now he doesn't know what to do. As he mopes, some well-dressed fellow walks in, takes a seat, and asks him if he has given the issue of Min Dongwoo some thought. He's heard he has a good record in prison and has never touched alcohol, so he feels something is off about his case. All Jeongmu wants to know is how long the investigation will take, and when he hears it'll take a month, he asks him to continue with the investigation. He assures Jeongmu that if he discovers anything strange, he will let him know. Nevertheless, right now he wants him to cheer up, seeking to know why he is mindlessly staring at his drink. He replies that he is trying to control himself because he knows he'll go to her if he gets drunk. This lets the man know he really loves Si-ola, so he advises him to just go to her. But he can't do that today. He knows that she will get sick of him if she sees him often, so for now he needs to learn how to practice patience. For someone who is truly in love with her, he upholds that patience for quite some time, and he manages to leave her wanting. They spoke last yesterday afternoon, and even when they bumped into each other, he ignored her and she felt like he was avoiding her. She called things off, so she knows she shouldn't be dwelling on this. Still, she is curious about whether he has moved on or not. Suddenly, Jeongmu walks in, walking past her as he greets. His presence tells her it's time to leave, and as she gathers her documents to do so, he stops her. He then tells her that tonight he is having dinner with his fiancée and her parents, and he'd like it if she stopped him. But she just walks away. This time she can't help herself and she looks back and their eyes meet. It's hard for Si-ola, but she looks away, telling herself she doesn't have to let that look on his face sway her. She decides to get back to work to help her get her mind off him. But when she gets to her desk, she sees an umbrella with a note attached to it. In the note is a message from Jeongmu that it'll be cold tonight, so he'd rather have her use his umbrella than for her to borrow from another guy. This charming act of his makes it hard for her to move on, but she knows she has to stay strong even though she doesn't know how. Nevertheless, she manages to stay strong and not contact him until it's nighttime. By then, Jeongmu is waiting outside staring at his phone, wondering why she hasn't called him yet. He feels she must have gone home by now, clearly missing her when his fiancée shows up. A few meters away, Seolha is using the umbrella he got her. She hadn't found the right time to return it to him all day and suspects his dinner plans are over by now. That is when she spots Jeongmu and the lady. Seeing them right across the road convinces her their dinner was near the office. For some reason, seeing them together hurts her, even when she didn't attempt to stop him. She tells herself that this might be for the better and has given her a good reason to end things for good. What she doesn't know is that he isn't interested in her. In fact, they are discussing how his father was furious about his disobedience. She wants to know if Jeongmu would be okay, and he assures her he is. He didn't even come here to meet her parents. Seeing him remain defiant pushes her to tell him that his father has a point and that their marriage would benefit both families' businesses. Just to be sure, she wants to know if what he said during their dinner was true, or if she is the problem here and he tells her she isn't. The problem is their marriage was never meant to be, and he hopes the next time they meet would be in a professional setting. And like that, he leaves, letting her dwell on her memories of how dinner went. Especially the time he declared that he was engaged to someone else, before her and her father, and he came to let them know in person. Sadly, this is not the first time she has been rejected. It's been this way since she was in high school. She just doesn't understand why it's never her getting picked. As this goes on, Seolha is at the park, a few blocks away. She's swinging sorrowfully, thinking about how it's over for them, and it's best she stops thinking about him. She has had 2 rounds of drinks and still couldn't get him off her mind. Yet she is here crying because she misses him. Honestly, she wanted to stop him from going to that dinner, but didn't. She wanted to give him back the umbrella and say thank you, but she didn't. Now she is considering having another drink to ease her sorrows. Fortunately for her, before she can go get that drink, When someone asks her why she is out here alone, she wonders if she is so drunk that she is seeing things now and tries ignoring him still, but ends up stumbling into his arms. She is certain there's no way he will be here, so she must be dreaming. Well, even if it's a dream, she kisses him and never wants to let go of him. He doesn't really understand what's going on, but he kisses back regardless, leaving her to wonder why it feels so real. She feels that way until he asks her if she thinks she is dreaming. Realizing her mistake, she pushes him away and asks him what he is doing here. He then tells her that she called him here, shocking her, because she doesn't recall calling him over. In disbelief, she runs through her call log and discovers she actually called him more than once. He then asks her if she is going to keep denying the fact that she called him, but she responds by silently taking a walk with him. During their walk, he apologizes for taking so long to come get her. He explains that he had to shower before he came, and she decides it's time to explain her actions. She tries to tell him that she got a little drunk and called him, but it's hard, even when she knows she needs to send him back. Finally, she summons up that courage and apologizes for calling him out. To her surprise, all he does is ask her in a formal tone if something happened, making her ponder on why he is addressing her like that. In no time, she pulls herself together and lies that she tends to call people when she gets drunk. She adds another lie to that, claiming she didn't miss him and called him out of habit. When she is finished, he walks over to her and brushes off the leaf on her coat before telling her to have a good night. Once more, she is watching him walk away, but this time, before he leaves, he remembers to ask her to call him the next time she feels like kissing someone. After that, he wishes her sweet dreams and leaves. His words and tone happen to sober her up totally. Now that she's all right, she decides to call Unsim to come over for a girls' night. Unconsciously, Unsim picks up the call while she is getting intimate, so Si-ola does the most humane thing and cuts the call, planning to pretend like she didn't hear anything. It's an interesting night for Unsim, and by morning, they are all at work. Si-ola is busy getting coffee, certain that the reason why she hasn't bumped into Jeongmu all morning is because of the morning meeting he attended. Soon she starts thinking about his welfare and tells herself she needs to stop thinking about him and focus on work. Suddenly, she hears him ask her if she slept well last night, and she replies that she did. Deep down, she wants to thank him for taking her home last night, but she doesn't. He then tells her that he didn't have a good night's rest and expects her to ask why, but she doesn't. Instead, she acts unconcerned and leaves. Jeongmu notices he has gotten to her to an extent, and that makes him smile. Sure, she is able to avoid him in the break room, but they clash again at his office, which is smaller. There, he keeps pestering her, but she is able to ignore her. Later in the day, she finally gets to rest and tells herself it's hard working in the same office with her boyfriend. No. Example. She is annoyed that she keeps running into him every time she is about to get him out of her mind. And fortunately for her, Minho comes with coffee and hands it over to her. I'm sure this will take her mind off Jeongmu for now. Minho noticed she looked tired and was just being a nice coworker. Concerned, she asks him if his cold is gone, and he replies that it is. He got better after getting some rest. He is glad she asked about him until he feels some sudden chill. He doesn't get where this feeling is coming from when he spots Jeongmu in the corner and immediately understands why he is feeling this way. To avoid any problems, he hurriedly ends their conversation and leaves. She is confused by his reaction, but when she sees Jeongmu, she suspects this has something to do with him. Still, she doesn't want to read meaning into it. She's probably about to head out, to avoid him, but he ties her down by claiming he is sick. He claims he has a fever and his forehead is burning up. Concerned, she feels his forehead and asks how he is sick now and when he was okay at lunch. She fears he must have gotten it because of his afternoon meeting, but soon suspects he doesn't have a fever. She managed to fall for his trap and prove to him that she still cares about him. So he wants to know when they are getting back together. For someone who misses him so much, she is good at hiding that feeling, pretending to not care when she coldly tells him it's her job to worry about him. To add to that, she claims she has a new type, and that's men with rounder and gentler features. He is stunned to hear that now she is interested in his exact opposite, but she doesn't let him recover. Instead, she claims she has somewhere to be, and she restocked the medicine in the office, so he should get some for his fever. Deep down, she is glad he doesn't have a fever and knows that she has to think of a new way to avoid him, since seeing him makes her so happy. Out of desperation, she considers telling him the truth. After all, nothing stays a secret forever. For now, it's hidden and she's having a hard time keeping it that way, which is why she heads to a bar. Not just any bar, but Wooey's bar. It's all lively here when an employee walks in and apologizes to him for coming late. He claims something came up at the last minute, but Woo-wee isn't mad at him. He liked serving the customers for a change and wanted to help till the end of his shift. The worker tries to tell him that it's fine and he is probably too busy already, but then Si-ola walks in, bringing an end to the debate. Once she has settled down, he serves her the free drink he promised her. Mojito to be precise, as he noticed she liked the last one he made for her. She thanks him for the drink and acknowledges his great memory, but he acts chill and tells her he only remembered it because he thought it suited her. As the conversation continues, he tells her she reminds him of his younger sister, yet she didn't know he had one. According to him, the young lady was an outgoing person like her, but that was until she got caught up in the wrong crowd. It's a touching tale, and even though Seolha doesn't know what the girl is going through, she wishes she gets back to her old self. The pair are finally bonding, but Jeongmu comes and crashes the party, the second he asks Woo-wee to give him the same thing Si-ola ordered. Immediately, she starts to panic as she doesn't know what he is doing here. She also knows that there's no way he could have found her, if not for Eunsim ratting her out, but most importantly, she knows he isn't a good drinker. Jeongmu, on the other hand, is focused on how Seolha and Woo-wee seem close, seeing as she hardly talked to him today but was free with Woo-wee. That assertion causes her to choke and the guys hurry to help her out, landing them in a stare-down. When it's over, Jeongmu gets to drinking, and even though his continuous drinking makes Seolha feel uncomfortable, she says nothing. They are all silent till Woo-wee ends it by remembering to ask her how the takeout they grabbed last time was. She replies that it was delicious, and that's when Jeongmu notices he has the rounder and gentler features she claims she likes. That only makes him want to drink more, but she stops him. He wants to know why she is doing so when he isn't even drunk yet, but instead of replying, she calls it a night and helps him out of the bar. Together they walk, holding their hands, and she asks him if he feels better. He claims he does, and it's nice to get some fresh air. So she knows he's a lot better now and wants to know where he parked right before she offers to call the designated driver for him. To sell her act better, she complains about him holding her hand, only for him to drag her and confess he couldn't do this when he was sober. He also didn't want to drink this much because he knew it'd get to this, but he couldn't help it. Somehow these words seemed to touch her, only for him to fall asleep in her arms, much to her discomfort. In the end, she had no other choice than to assist him to the nearest motel. Eventually, she gets him a room, planning to drop a note for him and go home. Suddenly, she notices the painting and how the walls are too thin. As if that's not bad enough, Jeongmu suddenly wakes up and reminds her that he said he wasn't drunk yet. In the end, they get intimate, and it doesn't stop even after he tells her that everything went according to his plan. Surprisingly, when things are about to escalate, he pauses because he doesn't want to continue without protection, while under the influence. He wants to experience everything. That's why he didn't want to drink too much. Now that they've both calmed down, he starts talking about how this is harder than he thought. He feels like she is slipping away, and he is scared she will leave him. Due to that fear, he asks her if she can't come back to him now, and she replies that she will think about it. As for this night, she'll like it if they go to bed holding hands, an idea he immediately welcomes. After a long while, they get to spend the night together, leaving Seolha stunned at how things turned out in the end. Still, as they lay there, she can't stop herself from brushing his hair with her palm, thinking about how seeing him drunk and asleep makes her so happy. Apparently, it even makes her love him more and more. Nevertheless, by morning, she heads out before he gets up, leaving him alone. But before she left, she got him milk and a sandwich, along with a note that she had to head out first since she had something to do. He smiles at the note, but soon motives her eating lying on the floor. He's definitely going to return it to her, but for now, she is unaware it's lost as she meets up with Eunsim. It doesn't take Eunsim long to see that Seolha came in the same clothes she wore yesterday, and she wants to know if she has resolved things with Jeongmu. The whole meeting between him and her was orchestrated by Eunsim, who felt it was better for him to go instead of her. She did it because she knew Seolha missed him, but Seolha denies it. Even after the night she went to Eunsim, crying and depressed, she still makes that claim, and her good friend decides to play dumb and let it slide. Seolha, on the other hand, is now considering telling Jeongmu about the accident, and she encourages her to do so as she is certain they'll work things out. Although Seolha doesn't know how he will take it, she knows she can't hide this forever, but gets interrupted and walks over to her to say hi. The guy's name is Han Yusong, and he feels the ladies shouldn't be so shocked to see him. Regardless, they want to know when he came back to Korea, and according to him, he has been around for some time and thought of reaching out to them since he was in the area. Eunsim immediately rushes to him and scales him, pointing out that he has grown taller. Meanwhile, he suspects she has grown shorter. To Seolha, it's just like how it was back in the day, when they used to hang out a lot. Her mind drifts back to those days, and Yusong calls her back to the present when he asks her if she missed him. She claims she did and is loving their time together, but then one of Yusong's band members calls out to him, reminding him it's time for their rehearsal. In other words, he wants him to wrap up the get-together, so he does, leaving the ladies with an invite to his concert later that week. He wants them to come if they are free and promises to text later. As he leaves, they exchange their goodbyes, but his colleague seems to have taken an interest in one of the ladies. Turns out he likes Seolha, but Yusong makes it clear that she isn't up for grabs, as he has had a crush on her for a while now. Fast forward to that evening at work. Seolha is just passing by when some coworkers ask her if she has seen the poster of Yusong's concert. They believe the violinist is hot and are stunned when she tells them she is going to the concert because he is a friend of hers. The ladies are going crazy now, wanting to know if she can introduce them to him. They also marvel at how connected she is, and are glad this worldwide sensation would be performing at the Venus Hall, which is so close and convenient. On the other hand, Seolha didn't know he was this popular because he gave her a free ticket like it was nothing. That aside, she feels she needs to talk with Jeongmu and considers making arrangements for meeting him at the weekend. Well, the weekend would sort itself out. For now, she has to head to the hall for the concert, shocked at how time flies. On her way there, she notices the elevator door is about to close and rushes into the elevator to save herself from the wait. Upon entering the elevator, she realizes that the elevator is not empty. Jeongmu is in it. Normally, it takes seconds to get to a designated floor, but right now it feels longer than that, as the two remain silent and Seolha reminisces on the last time they saw and what went down. Jeongmu breaks the silence by thanking her for the sandwich, and she's glad she could help. Suddenly, their little moment of silence is disrupted when on the 6th floor, the elevator doors open and welcome in some more people. It's all crowded now, forcing the pair together, the closeness reminding Jeongmu to tell Seolha about her lost earring. She's glad it's found, but then things get a bit more crowded, forcing them even closer, so he apologizes to her. She claims it's okay, understanding that a lot of people are using this elevator because the elevator for employees is out of service right now. About the earring, Jeongmu wants to return it tomorrow night, and she agrees. Just then, the doors open and everyone exits the elevator, but Seolha, who is still stunned. She did plan to see him that weekend, not for now, she tells herself to focus on the concert. At the concert, she watches Yusong's performance in awe, wondering how he is so playful on a normal day, and looks like a different person on stage right now. Sadly, Eunsim isn't here because she has plans, but I'm sure he doesn't mind, as he has this bold smile on his face when he spots Seolha. His smile is nothing new to her, and after the show, she waits for him to give him the flowers she got for him. She tells him his performance was amazing and apologizes for Eunsim's absence, but he is just glad she is here. They are talking when Jeongmu passes by and her focus is now on him. While he wonders if she knows him, Jeongmu and his mom are talking, until their eyes accidentally meet. Strangely, he just ignores her, walking away like he didn't even see her, shocking her initially. But then Yusong asks her if she'll like anything to eat, and they agree to meet after work, and Se-ola wants to see if Eunsim will tag along, but he stops her. Apparently, he doesn't want her to come and wants it to be just the two of them. While they go to eat, Jeongmu is in his car, troubled about Se-ola and Yusong. He can't tell how they know each other, but wants to believe they are cousins or family. He doesn't know why he is so bothered about him, when he has seen him only once. To him, it seems like they share a long history that he doesn't know about, making him feel increasingly helpless because he is worried he will miss his chance to get her back. To get his mind off this, he decides to call the detective, Muyong, who is currently at the office and drives to see him. Muyong is surprised that he came so fast and repeats that they can discuss things tomorrow, but he really wants to talk about the accident and how Seolha's father, Dongwoo, lost his memory. He heard from someone who recently got out of the same prison that he doesn't remember anything about the accident. Aside from that, it took him a while to discover that her father was charged with substance abuse on the day of the accident. What puzzles him is the chances of him getting drugs in Korea, a place where they are hard to find. He believes that these details are bringing him closer to discovering the truth about Dongwoo's case, and Jeongmu decides to trust him with this. After that night, things get quiet, and the day Seolha and Jeongmu are to talk arrives. But first, she decides to meet up with his mom. She thanks her for spending this time with her, but it's all good. She actually intended on having a light lunch before she got the call. Initially, she planned to tell her to have this lunch with Jeongmu, but came because she really wanted to see her, and suggested she have lunch with Jeongmu later. Lunch she would host. For now, she wants to know how things between him and her are. She noticed he seemed so out of it when he dropped her the other day, and it's almost like he isn't getting any sleep. His attitude now reminds her of the time he lost his twin sister. Back then, he refused to speak at all, and she had promised herself she would curse the man who did it for the rest of her life. She wonders if he knows how it feels to see your child go before you and ends the declaration with an apology, claiming she gets emotional whenever she thinks about the accident. But Si-ola understands. Now she knows she made a mistake thinking she could settle down in a family her father brought so much pain to. The talk with his mother had given her all the reasons she needed to leave their relationship in the past, and her wish not to cause them any more sorrow hurts her too. As a result of that feeling, she ends up in tears and someone stops her, to know why she is crying. Elsewhere, Jeongmu is busy thinking about how he was to meet Si-ola tonight, and she canceled at the last minute. He can't tell if something happened, but suspects she must be close by. Maybe if his meeting ended earlier, he would have caught up with her. Well, he unfortunately bumps into her, and she's kissing Yusong, who knows he's looking but still doesn't stop. After witnessing this, he just walks off, saying nothing. Meanwhile, Yusong suggests they go somewhere and talk. He actually came to say hi but won't mind taking a detour. Si-ola, who desperately needs someone to talk with, listens to him, and they have a sit-out to discuss everything. During their sit-out, she pours out everything. He really looks like he is concerned about her and her sad breakup with her boyfriend. He is certain she is heartbroken, looking like he cares until she tells him she really wanted to tell her ex the truth today but couldn't after she spoke with his mom. With bias in his voice, he claims their breakup might be for the best, to prevent them from hurting each other in future. She agrees with him, suggesting they get wasted tonight, but he stops her from doing so. Yet that doesn't stop her from talking down herself. During her outpouring, she declares that she knew he was too good for her and they would break up, but wasn't expecting it to be so soon. Why? Because there are things she wanted to do with him that she hasn't done yet. She now finds it hard to continue without him, giving Yusong the bright idea of suggesting she move on with him. He states that although he is a busy person, he can make time for her, but she is not having it. She feels he is joking and warns him to stop because she isn't in the mood for jokes right now and calls him a punk. He has never seen Sulk so badly, so he can tell she really loves Jeongmu. He has never seen her this way before, but he also is no stranger to this feeling. In their foster home days, there was one rainy day when he had a broken hand. He had sold his violin and wanted to leave, when she walked over to him with the same violin he sold. She wanted to know why he sold the violin his father left for him, instead of letting her know he needed money for the surgery. She also wanted to know how his hand was. She heard he hurt it while he was working. She advised him to get sponsors if he was having issues trying to figure himself out, or she'd keep nagging him. He assured her he'd think about it, but that was long ago and he probably followed that idea to get to where he is now, which isn't so bad. However, during his deep thinking, he recalls the look on Jeongmu's face. He could see how conflicted he looked and wondered if they were that deeply in love. Next thing we know, the scene shifts to Jeongmu taking a shower, reminiscing on the kiss he saw a few hours ago. He suspects Yusong saw him and kept going to spite him, or maybe it's something else, and he is just overthinking. In the end, he doesn't even know what to think when he spots the earring of the table. He then picks it up, certain that even if what he saw was true, he still misses her. Nevertheless, the following day at work, he acts like he doesn't. He maintains his cool when she brings things for the meeting later on and thanks her, before asking if she still wants to change departments. She still plans to do so, and he tells her that he waited for her yesterday. He had her earring, and he wanted to give it back to her, plus things aren't fully over yet. She agrees with him that it's not fully over yet and plans to end things, but wants to do that during the meeting she schedules for after work. Now, she'll leave knowing that today is the day she tells him everything, as the sooner she does this, the better. On her way out, because she is lost in thought, she bumps into Mu-young, apologizing to him, but he feels she isn't at fault. He feels it's his fault as much as it is hers and lets it slide, while she continues on her way out. However, she glances back, wondering if this man is a new employee, because normally everyone should have gone out for lunch. She isn't out yet, when she notices she has a text message that they want to push back the meeting by an hour. Because of this news, she leaves, returning back later to tell him about the changes. At the door, she stumbles upon a discussion between Jeongmu and Mu-young about her father. He had discovered the drug her father allegedly used wasn't even in Korea, so he can't tell how he got it. He then asks him if Si-ola knows he is looking into her father's case, shocking her to the point that she drops her tablet. The men didn't know she was there, but she is stunned he has been working on her father's case ever since, and he is shocked she has found him out. Regardless, he tries calming her down by assuring her they have a lead, but she finds it hard to believe. The facts of the case have been the same for 10 years now, so what is this lead he speaks of? Unfortunately for her, she can't get more answers before she is interrupted by a coworker who needs her assistance. Elsewhere, Yoon-sim schedules a meetup with her man and is thinking about the best dish to serve him when Jeongmu calls her. He probably wants to discuss Se-ola, who hurries home hurt. She can't believe that even after finding out her dad's involvement in his sister's accident, Jeongmu still cared about her. It's a lot to unpack now, but after getting a call from him, she doesn't know when she is running down to meet him. Upon seeing how underdressed he is in this weather, she can tell he is cold, and he reveals that this was a tactic that he and Yoon-sim cooked up. She assured him that if he told her he was waiting outside her place without a coat, she wouldn't turn him down, and luckily for him, she was right. Nevertheless, once she hands him a coat, she wants to know why he still wants to date her, after what her father did. He responds that he sees no reason to let go of her, but she begs him to go home, pleading that she doesn't want anyone to get hurt. He then reveals that the incident with her father, from 10 years ago, may have some blurred lines. Yet she remains fixed on her desire that he leave. With tears welling up in his eyes, he decides to do as she wishes and leaves. She let him because she sees no sense in his forgiving her, until she recalls their time together, and how he had been hurting by himself throughout. Even now he hurts, and she finally decides to go after him, not wanting to leave him this way. Unfortunately for her, after pacing through the street for a bit without catching a glimpse of him, she concludes he is long gone, and that brings her fresh tears. How could she be so stupid to let him go that way? She wonders, only for him to pop up from out of nowhere and ask why she lied that she wanted him to go, if she was going to cry about it later on. It's a question she replies with a hug, and they decide they are both hurt, and it's best they work through this together and not separately. Once this is settled, they head inside, where she swaddles Jeongmu up to help warm him up. She even adds a warm cup of coffee to the mix, but he'd rather she warm him up herself. His request leads Se-ola to apologize to him even more, while he tries to reassure her that he can't do without her. Out of concern and worry, she asks what will happen if the truth of the accident doesn't change. She fears it'll affect their relationship, but he promises her it doesn't matter. According to him, she has nothing to feel guilty about here. Plus, he promised he'd never let her go. That's a promise he intends to keep, and after hearing this, she can no longer hold back her tears, letting it all out while he comforts her until she falls asleep. By morning, she is woken by the aroma of his cooking. He let her sleep in, but woke early to prepare a baffling amount of food for her. After breakfast, they get on with their day. It's a weekend, so they don't rush anything. Nevertheless, their slow-moving morning is paused when Jeongmu spots the teddy he got her. He is surprised she still has it, but she explains that she treasures it because it's the first gift he got for her, and it reminds her of him. Well, gifts aside, he gets curious about something else. The guy she was with the other day. Yes, Yu-seong. He wants to know if he's a cousin or a school friend because she sounds fond of him. Jeongmu is probably relieved when she informs him that Yu-seong is a friend she made during her time at the foster home. She senses he is jealous, and he confirms it, following up his confession with moves that lead to a heated moment. Nevertheless, before things get too fiery, Yu-seong calls out to her. He's at the door and she wasn't expecting him. She does let him in nonetheless, and apologizes for not seeing his text. For some reason, he believes the blame is his, for not reminding her, adding that he should have called before coming. He then offers her the cake he got for her. It's her favorite, and they discuss how hard it was for him to get it. They talk like Jeongmu is not there, until Yu-seong acknowledges his presence, claiming it's nice to see him again. He's obviously lying. Jeongmu doesn't respond, allowing him to attempt to introduce himself. Se-ola is shocked that they know each other, recalling that they saw each other at the concert. It's a silent battle now, but her man is looking to win it, informing Yu-seong that he has heard a lot about him from Se-ola, and guesses he'll be coming for their wedding. That's his trump card, throwing his opponent into confusion. He didn't think he'd overlook what her father did, but he was wrong. Anyway, that's his cue to leave, and he does so, not too long after, claiming he had a nice day and promising to text Se-ola when he gets home. Se-ola, who hasn't caught on to the silent war happening in front of her, agrees with him, prompting Jeongmu to stare at her suspiciously. He doesn't see why he should text her and wants to know if they have been talking a lot lately. It's no surprise that they haven't. They are both busy people, and last year they only saw each other once. Her response is not enough for him, as he knows Yu-seong knew her before him and wishes they had known each other sooner, in kindergarten to be precise. Sensing that his jealousy is getting out of control, Se-ola hugs him to comfort him and promises they will be spending many years together in future. He likes the sound of that, feeling reassured instantly, so he suggests they head inside. Elsewhere, while gazing at the sea, Yu-seong ponders his encounter with the couple earlier. He had felt it wasn't too late for him, but it looks like it's over for him already. He doesn't know what to do, yet he isn't ready to give up, as she makes him so happy. He'll probably think of something, but for this evening, he heads home defeated. By morning, Si-ola and Jeongmu are out, trying to get groceries and cake ingredients. It's all because Jeongmu wants to make a cake tastier than the one Yusong got for her yesterday. He goes all out in the process, getting more ingredients than necessary before they head out. For some reason, they decide to stroll, discussing dinner, because we all know they'll be having cake for breakfast. Jeongmu warmly offers to cook, accidentally reminding her of the tasty meals her dad used to make back in the day. Just thinking about them makes her smile. With her thoughts on him, she asks Jeongmu if he really thinks her father could be innocent. Honestly, he believes her father is. Based on the way the investigation is going, he thinks her father was framed and prays he recovers his memory soon. The way he sees it, everything will work out fine. And that's all the assurance Si-ola needs this sunny morning. It's also what her mind is on until she spots a lady who looks like Yoonsim, with a man who looks familiar. She doesn't pay too much attention to it, nonetheless, believing that if it's Yoonsim, she is probably on a date. Her attention then returns to Jeongmu, who wants them to make a quick stop at a hotel they both know so well. While she considers this option, Yoonsim and Taegan head out. Yup, it was them Si-ola saw, and in no time they are at Yoonsim's place. He decided to drop her off with her groceries, and when she thanks him, he calmly responds that it's the least he can do, right before he asks her for a favor of his own. The sly player wants to know where Venus's meeting with a certain brand is going down, because he claims his people are also interested in the brand. He plans on using the fact that she is friends with Seolha, Venus's secretary, to his advantage. Once he gets the date, he intends to meet with the brand first and cut off any chance his rivals have with them. Now all he needs is for Yoonsim to fall for his trap, and he'll sweet-talk her until he gets that response. Back at the hotel, Seolha manages to play dumb, claiming her hands are cold and hurting, so they should head home. Jeongmu, however, still suggests they make a quick stop, but she is saved by the notification he gets on his phone. When asked, he tells her that it's his apartment's maintenance manager reporting to him that his shower is leaking. Since that's the case, he has to go, and Seolha believes they'll eat together another time. Well, that's until he invites her, reminding her that his home is also hers. For a couple that just got back together, they look like they were never apart to begin with. It's all rosy for them at the moment, but it isn't for Yushang, who is at his apartment practicing for a performance continuously, repeatedly messing up the song because of his lack of concentration. All this is because of Seolha, whom he can tell he may never confess his feelings to. Out of despair, he considers calling it a night because he isn't really going anywhere, right now. However, due to tiredness and a floodgate of emotions, he dozes off. Looks like it wasn't in his hands to decide when he was going to take a break. But unfortunately for him, during this break, he still fantasizes about having a shot at Seolha. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with a little dream, unless it stays a dream. But when it creeps into reality and you realize it's just a dream, it hurts. And that's the hurt Yusong is suffering when he wakes up. Ultimately, he concludes that he is too old to be feeling this way, even though he doesn't see a way out of this feeling for now. He's going through a lot right now. Meanwhile, Jeongmu and Seolha are at Jeongmu's place, focused on other things, like the apartment's maintenance manager who called the wrong house. At the moment, Jeongmu is glad his bathroom is okay, and now the couple can think about dinner. He is still trying to make Seolha feel comfortable, so he offers to cook what they got earlier and bake a cake for dessert. It's an idea she is okay with, and wants to help with. Jeongmu feels letting her help is a good idea, and everything is going great until the nozzle of the whipped cream gets jammed. The plan was to bake a cake together, but plans changed when the nozzle finally gave way, releasing whipped cream all over Jeongmu. A silly accident that pauses their baking for the night, as it lands them in unscripted intimacy. The following day, in the afternoon to be precise. Chairman Cha is out playing golf when Taegan approaches him. They saw last at a family dinner, and the old man blames it on the fact that his son, Jeongmu, is just going through a rebellious phase at the moment. His son going out of line doesn't change their relationship, so he is unwilling to hear Taegan out, at least before Taegan pushes. He declares that his sister, the woman Jeongmu turned down, was really hurt by what he did. His words get to the chairman, but he manages to keep his cool, saying nothing to Taegan, who claims to have an idea he'd like the chairman to hear. Is all this because Jeongmu turned his sister down, or is there more to the reason why he wants to see Jeongmu suffer? Who knows? Jeongmu doesn't even know someone like Taegan is this interested in his fall. Maybe that's why he is so relaxed, getting intimate to the point that he and Seolha decide to take a day off. For them, it was worth it, leaving both of them tired at the end of the day and long into the night. Seolha is so tired that she is fast asleep, until she is woken up by sounds coming from downstairs. She decides to go check it out, believing it's Jeongmu, and it actually is. He finished baking the cake without her, to surprise her because she wanted cake and he delayed her from getting it. It's an adorable way of him saying he listens to her and she hugs him warmly for it. The pair promise to consistently love and care about each other, ending their night in warm smiles and careless affection. By morning, they are at work while Eunsim is out with Yoo-seong. She recalls the question Taegan asked about his organization needing details for a meeting between Venus and another brand. She feels a bit mixed that she didn't budge and wonders if he needed the info for work or was trying to steal the deal from Venus. She is so lost in thought about this that Yoo-seong has to intervene, pointing out that she looks like she has a lot on her mind. Eunsim replies that she was just focused on work and takes his focus off her by asking if he has picked out a birthday gift for Si-ola. He's delayed picking something, so she teases him, asking him to hurry up since he is picking something for Si-ola and not his girlfriend. Her words make him blush, looking away like a lovesick puppy when he claims he wasn't slow, but it was she who was too fast. Eunsim laughs it off, encouraging him to take as much time as he needed. Well, he might not have to, since he has his eyes on a certain necklace. Let's fast forward to a few hours later. The sun's setting and Si-ola and Jeongmu are on their way to her house. Jeongmu would have liked her to come to his place and spend another night, but she has to handle some stuff at home. He understands and decides to let her do what she has to do, after the hectic day they had at work. At least that's the plan. Before she invites him over, informing him that she has something to show him, it's an invite he immediately accepts. Cleanse your minds. It's a photo album that she wanted him to see. In return, she wants to see his photo album from when he was little, and he agrees, before both of them head to bed. Honestly, it's been a lot for both Si-ola and Eunsim for the past few days. Nevertheless, their time apart doesn't matter when they finally get to sit and have some well-deserved lady time during their lunch break. During this time, Si-ola tells Eunsim about the fact that she and Jeongmu are practically living together. She also lets her know that she might not be changing departments again. Away from that, they discuss her birthday and finally, Eunsim and her supposed boyfriend. She suspects her friend will get married before, and they both laugh, before she realizes they haven't really discussed Eunsim's relationship. She is about to discuss it more when Eunsim remembers to remind her that Yoo-seong would be free next week, and they should meet with him. Jeongmu, on the other hand, has no time for breaks, as he is surrounded by a huge amount of unhandled documents. He is frustrated as is, but gets even frustrated when he spots a contentless document and discovers the Taekang group, which he is working with, doesn't know what they are doing. That's Taegan's people, by the way, and Jeongmu is drained until he spots Se-ola at the door. Immediately, he goes back to looking calm and collected, gathering his stuff before they head out for a meeting. On their way out, he confirms the location of the meeting, which remains unchanged. Everything is going on as planned, but then she notices his tie clip is out of order and helps him with it. As he watches her, he can't help but smile, because everything she does is adorable. Everything about her is so cute that he even has her baby picture on his office desk. He really loves her and is scared he might hurt her, and that's okay, because he no longer wants to hold back his feelings for her. They are the reasons behind each other's happiness and continue to share each other's joy during the weekend. After the week they had, an actual getaway is much deserved. The couple visit some art gallery, which is surprisingly empty, with plans to head to a gift shop upstairs later on. They are still discussing this when he gets a call he has to take. From the look on his face, Si-ola guesses it's work, but he claims it's a friend, and he has to leave her to hear this person out. His leaving allows her to roam the gallery a bit, leaving her so engrossed in what she sees that she ends up bumping into a lady moving boxes. Sadly, the boxes fall, spilling its contents all over, and Si-ola, because she caused the collision, has to help the woman out. The woman, feeling guilty as well, apologizes for being clumsy and informs Si-ola that she is new to the job. She knows how the lady feels right now, assuring her it's good and asks why the gallery is empty at this time. To her surprise, she reveals to her that the place is empty because Jeongmu rented out the entire gallery. He told them it was his girlfriend's birthday, and she is glad to see the girlfriend he was talking about. She is stunned that this is also his gift to her, because he said he'd give it to her later that night. Now, I bet we all want to see what he has in store for her. We'll get to that later, but for now, there are more pressing matters. Matters like how Jeongmu is on the phone with Mu-young, because Taegan came around asking about Si-ola. He wanted him to look into her, because that's what his organization did, but he refused the assignment and claimed he was too busy with work. Furthermore, he could tell that Taegan only reached out to test him. His visit leaves both of them wondering what Taegan wants with Si-ola, but the men have to adjourn their discussion because he has to get back to celebrating Si-ola's birthday with her. He decides not to let the Taegan thing ruin her day, not even telling her about it as they move from the gallery to a restaurant. This is definitely part 2 of his brilliant celebration idea. She is sincerely grateful for how much he's put into celebrating her, but he feels that next time he'll take her to somewhere even nicer. What's nicer than this? Is probably what she's thinking when she tells him that he has already done more than enough. Her words, however, don't make him feel better, because he is hurt that this is the best he can do on her first birthday, which he is celebrating with her. He promises to make her next birthday with him even more special, leaving her in awe because of his wordplay. Nevertheless, he admits he actually surprised himself as well, and they both laugh, experiencing the warm atmosphere that becomes even warmer when they spot a family a few tables away. They admire the couple and their son and admit that they won't mind having a child of any gender. Neither of them is picky, and it's obvious bitch of them want each other, with Se-ola sharing that she'd like to have a family picnic with him and their future kids. Her comment almost costs us Jeongmu, whose face gets so red it looks like he's about to pop. When she notices his reaction, she fears she rambled too much, only for Jeongmu to encourage her, declaring he can't wait for their future with their kids. It's already late into the night as it is, but for Jeongmu, it's still too early to call it a night. With that in mind, the couple heads to a hotel for the final surprise he has planned for her. At first glance, one would think the hotel is this big surprise, considering the view and all, but this can't be the big surprise Jeongmu has hinted at all along. However, it looks like we'll be seeing this big surprise soon, but for now, he has to step out and take a call. Before he leaves, he asks Se-ola if she needs anything, but she is okay and wants to start unpacking immediately. Since that's the case, he heads out to handle her business, while she's about to start unpacking when she gets a call from the receptionist. She called to inform her that there was a mistake somewhere, and they assigned them to the wrong room. That's a bold thing to say. And when it turns out to be true, instead of causing a fuss, Se-ola simply steps out with their luggage. She texted Jeongmu what happened and feels slightly embarrassed because this has never happened before. Her embarrassment lasts until she swipes the keycard for the new room and walks in on a heartwarming, well-planned scene that has Jeongmu written all over it. He confirms this when he pops up behind her, wearing her a necklace as he wishes her happy birthday. So this is the surprise he's been talking about. To add to this, he drops a few warm lines that make her tear up and hug him, dubbing him the greatest gift of all. Since that's what she sees him as, he asks her to ask him for something, and she requests for something that'll last for an eternity. He translates that as a request that they be together forever, and that's cool with her. Their hotel room might just be the warmest place in the city at the moment, with the coldest place right now being Taegin's room. He's there with Yoon-sim, who doesn't see that he isn't serious about her, and just keeps her around because he thinks she is fun. He has no plans for her, but the show Yoon-sim is watching blinds her even more. They are at this scene about a mother and her baby, and she remembers her discussion with Se-ola some days ago. You know, the one about her getting married first. It was a joke then, but now she considers it and asks Taegin how he feels about kids. Unsurprisingly, he admits he doesn't like them and tosses the question back at her, but she can't give a proper response. One would think the conversation would end there, but no. She goes on to ask him how he feels about marriage. He wasn't expecting this at all. Yet he plays his cards well, letting her believe he is really interested in her and wants a life with her. His shady act earns him some intimacy, as we all sit back and watch Yoon-sim fall into the pit he is digging for her. Taegun is skilled at this game he is playing, but let's go back to the couple that are building their relationship on honesty. Yep, we're talking about Seolha and Jeongmu, who are currently having lunch together. As usual, it's another uneventful afternoon for them, until Jeongmu has to step out. However, he hasn't gone too far when someone spots Se-ola alone and approaches her. He boldly requests for her number, but before she can give it to him or decline, Jeongmu takes the phone and dials his number. Once he is done, in the coldest tone ever, he tells the man to call him if he'd like to meet Seolha. Immediately, he gets the message and backs off, but because of him, Jeongmu is reluctant to step out again. Sure, Seolha won't have given out her number, and that's all right, but he advises her to give me his number in case anyone else asks. Why? Well, that's so he can give them a tongue lashing, something Seolha doesn't think he can do. Merely thinking about him do it is funny, and the couple continue with their date. By the time it's over, it's already nighttime, and he has to drop her off, but not before they satisfy a few needs. Satisfaction, nevertheless, takes a pause when someone tries to open the car door. This is some serious bad timing, and they don't know who is at the door until a child complains about his dad not coming out of the car. This child is Seolha's neighbor, and his mother warns him against trying to open other people's cars. Nevertheless, we can't blame the boy, because the car looks a lot like his dad's car. The kid has no idea what he just did, but he just saved the couple from a lousy day at work. Because of him, they decide to meet up later to finish what they started, with both of them heading their separate ways for now. Looks like at the moment, everyone is calling it a night, including Yusong, who just got out of the shower and is getting ready for bed. As he lies down, the memory of the dream he had about Seolha comes to his mind, messing up his train of thought again. Maybe it's because he'll be seeing her tomorrow, something he is looking forward to. The only issue he has is that Unsim is tagging along. He isn't too happy that she is coming too, but is just glad he will get to see Si-ola again. This young lad keeps thinking about a woman who is taken. At the same time, Jeongmu, her man, is also thinking about her during his drive home. With the speed they are moving in, he might just have to ask her to move in with him. Eventually, we'll see how things go for the couple. But in the meantime, they continue with their daily lives, loaded with work. So much work that it's a Monday morning and Seolha plans to work overtime to see if she can finish everything. Jeongmu, on the other hand, advises her to rest, reminding her that she has a lot of vacation days left. She kicks back, assuring him she is going, but he refuses to stand down, offering to get a new assistant so his Seolha can rest. Seolha then reminds him that they are at work, but he refuses to listen, getting too close when another employee walks in. He saw them holding hands, even so, he tries to keep his cool and act normal at least, until he gets to know that Jeongmu recognizes him. He didn't do anything wrong, yet he is the one on the hot seat now, stuck there until he states his business and leaves. He came to let them know the guests they were expecting had arrived and went on ahead without them, allowing them to access almost getting caught. Since it's up for discussion, Jeongmu makes it clear that he doesn't mind getting caught. In fact, he feels it's high time they let everyone know about them. Seolha agrees with him, but silently feels it'll be embarrassing. Nevertheless, she asks him to give her some time to think before they go public. Yeah, she does need that time after all. He's been looking into her father's case all along. She deserves to do some digging and find out more about him as well. That's all she feels she has to do before introducing him to her father. It's as good as a done deal right now, but Yusong doesn't know that, which is why he is home, so conscious about what he'll wear to see her this afternoon. After spending a millennium to pick an outfit, he finally finds a drip he can rock, gets his gift for her, and heads out. On his way, he hopes she'll love the gift, but it kinda looks like the one Jeongmu got her, so I'm expecting drama. Let's get to it then. The dinner Yoonsim made to mark Seolha's birthday. As soon as they both wish Yoonsim, she pulls out a gift for her, advising her to open it at home, because it's just for her to see. With her gift delivered, she drills Yoonsim about his, since they ended up buying gifts separately because of how much time he wasted picking his. He made so much fuss about it, now he turns up empty, claiming he forgot it at home because he can't tell the ladies that Seolha is wearing a similar necklace to the one he got for her. He promises to get the gift next time, although Yoonsim finds it troubling that he is forgetting things at such a tender age. Still, they didn't gather today for him, so they soon forget he didn't bring a gift, and continue with dinner. By the time they are done, Yoonsim sees Seolha and Yuseong out wishing them safe journeys home before they leave. It's already pretty late, and when they get to the street, Seolha asks Yuseong if he drove here. She probably wants him to give her a lift, but then he spots Jeongmu, parked not too far out. The men glare at each other in a manner colder than the evening weather, until she notices Jeongmu as well. She is glad he is here and again asks Yuseong if he drove here, hoping that Jeongmu would give him a lift if he didn't. He just replies with a good night and watches her walk away, before he finally gets motivated enough to stop her and tell her he has been in love for a long time. Does he finally confess his love for her? It's uncertain because of their inaudible conversation. Nevertheless, when they are done, she rushes to Jeongmu to tell him what Yuseong said, along with other details. They'll continue talking when they get home, but for now they focus on just that and Yuseong tags along. It's a silent ride to his place, and all he can think about is how he blew his chance with Seolha, but telling her that he was in love, but with Jeongmu's car. He even added that he dreamed of riding in it. His thoughts are loud, but Seolha's voice is loud enough to pierce through them when she asks him where his house is. He immediately explains the directions, and it's actually closer than she expected. Now Jeongmu knows where he is headed, but he also wants to know how long Yuseong will be in town. Not long. He admits next month he'll be out since he has a few shows to perform at here and there. He would have left by now, but he stayed a little longer just so he could hang out with Seolha because it had been a while since they hung out. Cute, right? But not for Jeongmu, who speedily informs him that Seolha will not be able to see him because she will be busy spending time with him. He's already won, but he still intends to neutralize anything that looks like an opposition. It's smart, but to Yuseong, he is just being plain annoying. During this mini-battle, Seolha is fast asleep, and Jeongmu's frown turns to a smile when he notices this. By the time she wakes up, he has dropped Yuseong off. The car is parked in the parking lot, and Jeongmu is just watching her. She apologizes for falling asleep, but he promises her it's all good. He liked watching her because it gave him time to imagine her in a wedding dress. It's a cute thing to say at the moment, so she heads out, to prevent herself from blushing too much. Elsewhere, Yusong is having trouble sleeping. He was in the car when Jeongmu covered Si-ola up, and he is sad because he didn't expect the guy to care about her so much. Deep down, he knows there is no place for him in her heart, and Jeongmu can take care of her more than he would ever be able to. Simply put, he knows he has lost the battle in war, but he still feels hurt because he was the one who liked her first. He's awake right now, wondering what she's doing. Maybe he has a few guesses in mind, but he probably never guessed she'd be working at this time. Suddenly, she recalls the day of the accident and is once more keen about finding out what happened. That day, her father got home from work like most days, but had to hurry out because of an urgent call. Before the accident, his memories were intact, so there has to be a reason why he has lost his memory, and she wants to find out why. She'll start by visiting him during the weekend, which is cool. What isn't cool is the fact that she has gotten so comfortable, she can't see her enemies are making a move on her. By enemies, I mean Taegan and maybe Wooey, who is whipping up a drink for him at such a late time of the night. Our suspicions are confirmed when he thanks Wooey for helping him handle drugs that a contact failed to safeguard. The drugs were stolen and he got them back, so Taegan plans to get them tomorrow. Upon hearing this, an injured Wooey just glares at him. He wishes he'd smile, but understands that he is probably acting this way because he is a slave of Taekang, because of some family issues. Still, he does notice Taegan's mood is shiny, and he brings it up. Overjoyed, Taegan can't hold back his happiness and tells Wooey that to him there's nothing as good as messing up another person's plan. He's tampered with Jeongmu, his rival's plans, and can't wait to see his reaction tomorrow. The day of reckoning arrives swiftly, and like I said earlier, the couple have no idea what's in store for them. They are at work, discussing their plans for later that day, feeling too comfortable and getting too close when the elevator doors slide open and the same employee who saw them the other time busts them again. This time, he's seen them holding hands, and Si-ola lets go immediately due to embarrassment. Si-ola hurries off immediately, leaving Jeongmu with the employee, who he employs to tell anyone he wants to what he saw. The poor guy thinks he is about to lose his job, misunderstanding him and thinking he is trying to tell him to keep his mouth shut. He loves his job and will do just that. The scene shifts to Si-ola, who is glad no one was around to spot them. She pauses to catch some air, and that allows Jeongmu to catch up with her. They continue to share kind comments, not minding that they are in the open when someone calls out to them. It's his mom, and she looks like she has seen a ghost. She has a file in hand, emptying the contents on the desk, once she is alone with him, before asking him a question they both knew the answer to. Are you with this girl even after everything her father caused our family? She also wants to know if Si-ola knows about the accident, and he lies that she doesn't know. He lied because he didn't want Si-ola getting hurt, and he calmly begs his mother not to confront Si-ola so she doesn't leave him. She is pissed by his request, demanding he come back to his senses, but he stands firm, defending Si-ola's dad and the chances of his innocence. His mother hears him, but she wants to know what he'll do if he finds out that her father was actually guilty of the accusations. His response, although it is very coded, comes out bluntly. His sister has already passed away, and Si-ola isn't guilty for it, so he'll stick with her. Honestly, he could have put it in better phrases that won't have hurt his mother even more. Still, even if he used calmer words, there's a high chance it won't have meant anything to her. All she wants is for him to break up with her, not his consolation or his pity, or even him calling her mother until he breaks up with her. Wow. This is a lot, but after letting down all her load, Jeongmu's mom leaves with tears welling up in her eyes. It's obvious Taegan is responsible for Jeongmu's mother finding out the truth, especially because he's seated in his office bragging about it. Jeongmu, who is actually very smart, comes to confront him because he caught on fast. With all this happening and the end looking closer than any of us could have anticipated, Si-ola is down. She was there when Jeongmu's mom came around and had to leave because of her plans with Yoon-sim. Honestly, she's lucky she didn't stay, and even though she doesn't know what's up, she feels for his mother who looked stressed. She can tell something is wrong, thinking too deeply about it that she doesn't know the lights have changed until Wooey helps her notice. What's he doing here, though?
Enjoying this recap? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates. Until next time, ciao.